Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. I, the abandoned son of my family, have awakened double S level powers. Chapter 61. Yi Chen and Wu Kai stood opposite each other, the atmosphere was tense, and the battle was about to break out. Wu Kai wielded his double hammers, and each swing carried the sound of hunting, showing his powerful strength. Yi Chen stood there, tall and straight, his right hand flashing with purple lightning, as if it contained endless energy. Following Wu Kai's angry shout, he rushed towards Yi Chen like a whirlwind, and smashed Yi Chen with his double hammers like a mountain crushing an egg. Yi Chen flashed and avoided the blow like a ghost. At the same time, he stretched out his hand to grab, and a purple thunder and lightning rushed towards Wu Kai like a giant dragon. Wu Kai danced his hammers, trying to resist the thunder and lightning attack. But the power of thunder and lightning was too strong, and the hammers were almost shaken. Yi Chen took the opportunity to bully him, flashed the lightning in his right hand, and punched Wu Kai directly. Wu Kai had no choice but to receive the punch forcefully, and the fist and hammer collided with each other, making a loud noise. Wu Kai was knocked back several steps, while Yi Chen was as steady as a rock. Yi Chen took advantage of the victory to pursue, his body was like lightning, and he continued to attack. Each of his punches carried the power of thunder and lightning, making Wu Kai tired of dealing with them. Although Wu Kai's double hammers were powerful, they seemed a bit clumsy in front of Yi Chen's speed and flexibility. Under Yi Chen's stormy attack, Wu Kai finally showed his flaws. Yi Chen seized the opportunity and struck Wu Kai with a palm thunder move. Wu Kai fell to the ground, vomiting blood, and lost the ability to fight again. Yi Chen stood there, with purple lightning flashing all over his body, like the god of war descending. He easily defeated Wu Kai with the power of one hand, showing his great strength. From the beginning to the end, Yi Chen fought with only one hand, beating Wu Kai with one hand until he was unable to fight back. The onlookers were shocked. They originally thought the battle would be fierce, but they didn't expect Yi Chen to win so easily. Is this Yi Chen's true strength? It's too scary, people around him exclaimed. Their eyes widened and they looked at what was happening in front of them in disbelief. I originally thought that Yi Chen could tie with Wu Kai at best, but he didn't expect that he would be crushed. He defeated Wu Kai with one hand. How did he do it? At this time, the crowd in No. 3 middle school became extremely quiet, as if enveloped by an invisible pressure. Everyone lowered their heads, their faces as gloomy as the sky covered with dark clouds, as if they were mourning for their heirs. Yi Chen is invincible. He will win in 2. Everyone in the number 2 middle school saw Yi Chen defeating Wu Kai in a majestic manner, and the long-pressed emotions in their hearts were finally released. They waved their arms excitedly and shouted this sentence with all their strength. For a time, the entire venue was drowned in cheers and cheers, as if the sky was about to break through. Yi Chen in the crowd also became the focus of the audience at this moment. At this moment, the students of No. 2 middle school were full of admiration for Yi Chen and cast admiring glances at him one after another, forming a sharp contrast with the students of No. 3 middle school. The victory in this game made the students of No. 2 middle school feel unprecedented joy and excitement. And Yi Chen became the symbol of this victory. He used his own strength to prove the strength of No. 2 middle school. Yi Chen glanced at Wu Kai who was lying on the ground. His eyes were as dull as a pool of stagnant water, without any ripples. He put his hands behind his back and looked at Wu Kai quietly, as if looking at an insignificant stranger. You lost, Yi Chen said lightly. Wu Kai struggled to get up from the ground, with blood still remaining at the corners of his mouth. The clothes on his body were soaked with sweat, but his eyes were full of unwillingness and anger. He stared at Yi Chen fiercely, as if he wanted to tear the man in front of him into pieces. However, in the end he gritted his teeth, lowered his head and said, I admit defeat. These 3 words seemed to have exhausted all his strength, making him look a little exhausted. Since you have admitted defeat, let's fulfill the bet, Yi Chen said calmly. Wu Kai's face was so gloomy that he was about to drip with water, but he still stood up with difficulty. He looked at the opponent in front of him who had completely defeated him, and his heart was filled with unwillingness and anger. But as a man, he still has the backbone to be willing to admit defeat. So he gritted his teeth and said word by word, No. 3 middle school will never be as good as No. 2 middle school. He said it 3 times in a row. His voice echoed above the arena, and everyone, including those who were not in the 2nd or 3rd class, and those who came to watch, heard it. At this time, Wu Kai no longer cared about so much. He just wanted to leave here quickly and didn't want to see the faces of these people again. He knew that he lost miserably in this bet, but he had no regrets. Because he understands that only by experiencing failure can he grow better, and one day he will get back everything he lost today. The students of No. 3 Middle School looked at Wu Kai's lonely back, their eyes full of resentment, dissatisfaction, distress and unwillingness. They couldn't accept such a result, especially losing to No. 2 Middle School in front of so many people. They know that Wu Kai tried his best, and the win or loss in this game does not mean that the 3rd middle school has always been inferior to the 2nd middle school. But this time, the number 3 middle school was severely trampled by the number 2 middle school. The only chance to turn around was that Wu Kai's ranking was higher than Yi Chen's in the college entrance examination. In contrast, the students of No. 2 Middle School have changed from their previous decadence, and all of them have beaming smiles on their faces. Yi Chen's performance was so outstanding, he not only won the game but also defended the dignity of number 2 Middle School. At this moment, Yi Chen became the hero in the eyes of the students of number 2 Middle School and the leader of this session. Yi Chen looked at the crowd that was gradually dispersing, with no trace of emotion on his face. He said calmly, "Those who humiliate others will always humiliate them. Since you dare to block the door, you must be prepared to be defeated." Yi Chen is not the kind of person who is overflowing with sympathy. He has no mercy for Sanjiang and Wu Kai. After all, if it was him who lost today, then it would be him, Yi Chen, and No. 2 Middle School who would be laughed at and insulted by everyone now. He is well aware of the cruelty and reality of this world, and only the strong can stand at the top and be respected. The weak can only be stepped on and bullied. Therefore, he cannot relax even a little bit and must constantly work hard to improve his strength and make himself a truly strong person. After Yi Chen stepped off the ring, the students from No. 2 Middle School immediately gathered around him. Their faces were all filled with excited smiles, showing great appreciation and respect for Yi Chen. One of the students said excitedly, "Yi Chen, you are really amazing. Compared with you, there is a world of difference between Wu Kai and you. He is no match for you at all." Another student asked curiously, "Senior Yi Chen, how do you practice? Can you tell us some secrets? I also want to be as strong as you." Someone else said enthusiastically, "Senior Yi Chen, if you have anything to do in the future, just ask us, we will fully support you." Faced with these praises and admiration, Yi Chen just smiled and nodded, but he felt a little pressure in his heart. After all, victory in this competition does not mean everything. There will be more challenges waiting for him in the future. More and more people came around, and Yi Chen couldn't resist it. "It's all gone, it's all gone, Yi Chen, come with me." Yan Sheng appeared in time and helped Yi Chen out of the siege. Yi Chen felt like he was being pardoned, but the students around him were still too enthusiastic, so Yi Chen had no choice but to use his energy and jump. Purple electric arcs entangled Yi Chen's legs, and Yi Chen finally jumped out of the crowd. "Yan Ban, I'll wait for you in your office." Yi Chen ran away without looking back. "This kid is pretty fast." Yan Sheng smiled and shook his head. "Wow, Senior Yi Chen is so handsome." As expected of an A-level superpower, he can easily suppress that Wu Kai. A group of schoolgirls looked at Yi Chen with red hearts in their eyes, and they wanted to catch up. Seeing this, Yan Sheng quickly blocked everyone and said seriously, "What are you doing? There is no class anymore, right? Come back to the classroom quickly." When the crowd heard Yi Chen's words, their voices became quieter, but some people still wanted to follow him. Yan Sheng directly activated the source energy, and a huge coercion spread out from Yan Sheng's body. The crowd instantly became silent. Under the pressure of coercion, it was difficult for them to raise their heads. Yan Sheng did not continue. He just wanted the students to go back to the classroom and not disturb Yi Chen. He just wanted everyone to calm down and listen to what he said by releasing the pressure. "I know everyone is very excited about the victory that Yi Chen brought to No. 2 Middle School, but I hope you don't forget our defeat a few days ago. I hope that when someone comes to challenge me again in the future, it will be you who stand up. Are you confident? Yan Sheng said loudly. Have confidence. Louder, I can't hear you. Have confidence. The students below shouted in unison, their faces flushed, inspired by Yan Sheng's words. Next, Yi Chen has to prepare for the college entrance examination. Don't bother him. You also have to practice hard and become the next Yi Chen. Do you hear me? I heard it. Zhang Ding stood by the window of the principal's office, taking in everything below. This Yan Sheng is quite a character. Let him take the test this time. Wang Quan still needs to settle down. Zhang Ding picked up the tea in his hand and took a sip. Yan Sheng didn't know that the teaching director he had worked hard for several years had already been acquired at this moment. The reason why Zhang Ding decided to promote Yan Sheng was of course not only Yan Sheng's ability to teach and educate people, but more importantly, he had a student named Yi Chen. In fact, in terms of teaching performance, Wang Quan's grades are not bad, even a little better than Yan Sheng's. But his student Yi Rongxuan has transferred to No. 1 middle school, and now there is not a single A-level student among his students. Of course, this can't be blamed on Wang Quan. It can only be said that he was unlucky. Yi Chen happened to be a leading figure in Yan Sheng's class. As for why Zhang Ding was standing upstairs, he didn't show up when Wu Kai challenged him. The principal of No. 3 middle school didn't show up. If Zhang Ding ended up, others would say that No. 2 middle school couldn't afford to lose. So even Zhang Ding was anxious in those days, but he had no choice but to watch. Yan Sheng didn't know that Zhang Ding was watching him upstairs. He organized the students to go back to the classroom and then returned to the office. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Yi Chen making a cup of tea and sitting there. You kid, you are being unreasonable, and that's right. You are a big star now, and all the students in No. 2 middle school are your fans. Yan Sheng said teasingly. When Yi Chen saw Yan Sheng coming in, he quickly stood up and gave up his seat. Isn't this what Yan Ban teaches? As the saying goes, great teachers make great disciples. I have to thank Yan Ban for helping me out. Yi Chen quickly responded with a smile, and then helped Yan Sheng sit down. Hey, I don't dare to take it. This is all your own efforts. But you are getting more and more glib. Although Yan Sheng said this, the smile on his face betrayed his heart. He also knew in his heart that his education had little to do with Yi Chen's strength, but he was still very happy to hear Yi Chen say this. In fact, Yi Chen didn't talk so much in the past, he didn't have so much time, and he didn't communicate much with Yan Sheng. After awakening, Yi Chen's personality gradually became more cheerful and he talked more. This is the confidence brought by strength. Yi Chen saw Yan Sheng sitting down and quickly made him a cup of tea. Yan Ban, is it because of Wu Kai that you asked me to come back? Yan Sheng also suppressed his smile and said seriously, mainly because of Wu Kai, and also to tell you some things about the college entrance examination. Wu Kai's matter should be the intention of the Yi family. I heard that the young master of the Yi family, Yi Yuntian, also awakened an A-level power. The specific power he awakened has not been revealed. It should be the Yi family that sealed the news. Quote, as for the matter between you and the Yi family, it's hard for me to get involved. I may not be able to help you, so you have to rely on yourself. Speaking of this, Yan Sheng showed a look of guilt on his face. He actually really wanted to help Yi Chen, but he was just a martial artist, how could he possibly be able to compete with the Yi family? Seeing this, Yi Chen quickly comforted him. I know that Yan Ban has helped me a lot over the years. As for the Yi family, don't worry, they don't dare to touch me. At least now in Yuling City, they don't dare. Yi Chen said firmly. Yan Sheng didn't ask any more questions. Yi Chen must have his own confidence. A genius like Yi Chen must have been spotted by a big force early on, perhaps a force more powerful than the Yi family. That's good, but you still have to be careful. I don't dare to touch you on the surface, but I can't guarantee whether there are any small moves in private. You must be on guard against others. Yan Sheng warned. Yi Chen nodded, I know. Also, before the college entrance examination, you have to draw blood and record information. These are not a big deal. You come back and we will record it later. After that, it won't be a big deal. By the way, how are you preparing for your cultural classes? What? Are there cultural classes in the college entrance examination? Am I not taking the martial arts test? Yi Chen widened his eyes and asked questions. Yan Sheng was helpless when he saw this. Seeing Yi Chen like this, he didn't know anything. Even if you take the martial arts exam, you still have 100 cultural points. You don't think that all the people recruited by martial arts schools are illiterate, and your cultural score must be at least 40 points to pass. Otherwise, you may be judged because of your cultural score. You brushed it off. Yi Chen used to work part-time at night, and slept most of the time in class because he was too tired, and his cultural score was a mess. Yi Chen scratched his head and sighed inwardly. I didn't expect that even after traveling through time, I would still be able to escape the cultural class. But Yi Chen actually doesn't have to worry. Even if his cultural score is not good, he can just use special moves. He now has the energy storage bracelet from Modu Wudafa, how could he not learn it? But if Yi Chen's cultural score is too low, it will be difficult for him to be at the top of the college entrance examination. You'd better go to school for the next 10 days or so. I'll make arrangements to help you get a score of 40 on the exam. Yan Sheng said seriously. In fact, he had always known Yi Chen's situation, and he had reminded him several times about Yi Chen sleeping in class. But later I discovered that nothing had changed, so I didn't say more. After all, he understood that Yi Chen needed to work part-time to make money to support himself and his sister Yi Qingyao. If he is not allowed to work part-time, how will the brother and sister live? Therefore, even though he felt helpless, he could only choose to understand and support Yi Chen. Yan Sheng held his forehead with one hand, feeling a little headache. Yi Chen had no choice but to smile and did not dare to speak. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Enter. I saw a burly figure walking in. When Yan Sheng saw this person, he quickly stood up and said, "Principal, you are here." The person who came in was Zhang Ding, the principal of No. 2 Middle School. Zhang Ding said kindly, "I didn't disturb you." No, I just happened to talk to Yi Chen about the college entrance examination. Some things still need to be decided by the principal. Oh, tell me what happened. Zhang Ding also sat down. Yan Sheng immediately told Zhang Ding that Yi Chen couldn't tell the difference in culture and wanted to arrange for some teachers to give Yi Chen extra lessons. Yi Chen stood aside, not daring to say a word, like a student who had done something wrong. Of course, you can arrange it directly when the time comes. Just say it's what I want. Zhang Ding naturally knew that Yi Chen had been specially recruited, so it would be fine even if he didn't take the college entrance examination. But it's also nice to be able to sell Yi Chen a favor. Thank you, principal. Yi Chen stood next to him and said respectfully. Zhang Ding smiled and nodded. By the way, Yan Sheng, you should go directly to inform the teachers. Also, go to the Human Resources office. After that, you will have to change offices. When Yan Sheng heard Zhang Ding's words, his face showed excitement. He didn't know that he was about to be promoted. Thank you, principal, I'll be there right away. Yan Sheng saluted and went directly to the personnel office. Yi Chen looked at Yan Sheng who was leaving and felt truly happy for Yan Sheng. Yan Sheng had been a very conscientious and responsible teacher in the past 3 years. Then I'll go back to the classroom. Wait a moment, I just have something to tell you. Zhang Ding waved to Yi Chen. Yi Chen was a little confused as to whether Zhang Ding had anything else to tell him, but he still did it obediently. Your current strength has broken through to that of a warrior, right? Yi Chen hesitated for a moment and nodded, I just broke through. Although Zhang Ding had felt it when Yi Chen was fighting Wu Kai, he was still a little surprised to hear Yi Chen admit it himself. Our number 2 middle school is finally going to produce a genius, who is worthy of being an S-class superpower. Zhang Ding sighed in his heart. In that case, let me tell you more about the college entrance examination. As long as you are aware of cultural issues, it's fine as long as it's not too bad. After you enter the Magic City Martial Arts University, you will be rewarded with corresponding resources based on your college entrance examination scores. However, the ranking here is only based on your martial arts scores, not the cultural points. When Yi Chen heard this, he breathed a sigh of relief. If the cultural points were included, Yi Chen would probably have a headache. Also, some forces will recruit you based on your martial arts score in the college entrance examination. The more outstanding your performance in the college entrance examination, the better the conditions they will offer you. Ah, what force? Are there other forces besides the Federation? Yi Chen was a little confused. He had never heard of it before, nor had he seen it in the news. Zhang Ding was not surprised by Yi Chen's reaction. The Federation is only a force visible to the public. It is also the largest force. It is a force that ordinary people can join. But there are some forces that ordinary people don't know about. Maybe they will be made public in the future. I don't know. There are some forces that are specifically aimed at warriors. They are established by some powerful warriors and usually do some special tasks. You will know these after you enter the magic martial arts. Since I have said this today, let me say a few more words. Although we talk about global monetary unification and the human community, we are still unified in dealing with alien beasts. But in fact, it is still divided into East and West. The Chinese Federation where we are located belongs to the East. Since you enroll in MOWU, you will not go to the Western forces. I will tell you a few main forces of the Chinese Federation. The first one is the Xinhuo Alliance. The leader of this term is Hua Angguo, the strongest player in our Chinese Federation. He is a strong man at the peak of the Martial Emperor. For those who have the opportunity to break through to the level of the Martial Emperor, the Xinhuo Alliance is committed to continuing human civilization and inheritance. The second one is Tianxinwei. You probably won't join. The president of Tianxinwei is also a powerful martial artist. However, most of the members of Tianxinwei have awakened brain powers and are engaged in scientific research. Today's intelligent robots, weapons, etc. are all related to their research and can be regarded as a force that promotes the development of science and technology. Quote. The third one is the Wanyu Pavilion. The owner of the pavilion is also a powerful martial emperor. I heard that they mainly deal with the Gate of Disaster. I don't know the details. I won't say much about the rest. You should know about it later. Quote. In general, different forces generally have different positions, but they are all for the survival of mankind. Yi Chen paused and asked, Principal, have you joined any forces? Me, I'm just a small force. You can definitely join a better force. Zhang Ding didn't say which force he belonged to, and Yi Chen couldn't continue to dig deeper. I'm telling you this mainly to give you a sense of confidence, so you can do your best in the college entrance examination. If you perform well, you will get more resources. The most important thing is that if you enter the eyes of high-level humans, your future development will be better, and your safety will be better protected. Yi Chen did have the idea of hiding his strength before. With his strength, it shouldn't be a problem to bring Chu Tian into the magic martial arts. Moreover, his cultivation does not require as much resources as others. He only needs to hunt strange beasts. So he thought it would be fine if he could go in, but after listening to Zhang Ding's words, his thoughts changed a little. Zhang Ding is right, if he can perform well, then he will get more shelter and protection. However, as the attention he receives increases, so does his risk of assassination. But it is absolutely impossible for him to hide the fact that he has S-level powers forever. After all, paper cannot cover up the fire. And with his terrifying cultivation speed, even if he wanted to conceal it, he would probably be powerless. Instead of covering up and hiding his head and tail, it would be better to show his strength openly. Yi Chen nodded. I understand, I will do my best during the college entrance examination. Zhang Ding nodded with satisfaction after hearing Yi Chen's words. I can't help you much in terms of cultivation. You mainly have to rely on yourself. But if you have any problems, just tell me and I will find a solution. Yi Chen was very moved. Thank you, Principal, I will try my best. In the next few days, Yi Chen studied cultural classes at school during the day and went back to practice forging iron at night. As time passed day by day, Yi Chen's origin sea underwent wonderful changes. The originally transparent yuan eye is now covered with a layer of light yellow, looking like a pool of muddy yellow lake water. In this muddy yellow lake water, the source energy flows slowly, as if it is alive. They intertwine and merge with each other to form a strange energy field. In this energy field, every trace of source energy becomes more powerful, as if it has been tempered and tough. Although the amount of source energy in the source sea decreased, Yi Chen felt an unprecedented power. This power does not come from the quantity of source energy, but from the increase in its quality and density. Now the source energy in Yi Chen's source C has turned into a brass color, and the amount is only about the same as when he awakened to the 8th level. But Yi Chen was not worried at all. He could clearly feel that although the amount of source energy in his source C had become less, its intensity was stronger. On this day, Yi Chen was listening to the teacher's private tutoring in the office, but Yi Chen looked very weak and a little out of shape. Yi Chen, does your cultivation matter? I see how you look bad these days. The female teacher asked with concern. This female teacher was the teacher who specialized in tutoring Yi Chen's cultural classes during this period. She paid great attention to Yi Chen, not only caring about his academic progress, but also often caring about his physical condition. After all, Yi Chen is now the hope of No. 2 middle school, so there can be no accidents. This is what Zhang Ding told her. Yi Chen smiled gratefully. Thank you, teacher, for your concern. I'm fine. I've been practicing a skill recently, but it hasn't been very smooth. The female teacher nodded and sighed softly. Okay, then you must be careful. If you have any questions, just say it. Don't force the practice to leave hidden dangers. What's more, the college entrance examination is around the corner. Don't make mistakes at this time. Quote. She has an ordinary D-level superpower and has no martial arts talent. She can't help Yi Chen even if she wants to, so she can only care about Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded gratefully and continued to focus on the cultural class. He secretly decided to complete the transformation of source energy as soon as possible and end his current state as soon as possible, but now it seems that the time of this process may not be too short. In the evening, after Yi Chen reviewed the cultural classes during the day, he went directly to the training room. Let's stop forging iron for a while today and take a breath. Yi Chen looked at the secret book in his hand and couldn't help but feel helpless. It's not that he doesn't want to continue practicing the iron forging method, but the reality makes it impossible for him to do what he wants. He has no extra blood to spit out. If he continues to practice forcefully, he is worried that his life safety will be threatened. Therefore, he decided to temporarily put aside the iron forging method and try to practice other techniques. He thought of the mysterious, thunder and fire tempering body technique. Perhaps by practicing this technique, he could strengthen his body and make the subsequent practice of iron forging easier. So, he took out thunder fire tempering body technique from the energy storage bracelet and began to read it carefully. It didn't take long for Yi Chen to read the exercise book carefully from beginning to end, and the system quickly included it in the exercise column. However, when he truly understood the specific requirements of the thunder fire tempering body technique, he couldn't help but feel a trace of worry in his heart. Why do I feel that this thunder fire tempering body technique is not easy to practice? He had always mistakenly thought that this technique only required the use of thunder, but he did not expect that fire was also an essential element. And if you want to practice successfully, you must have both thunder and spiritual fire. And during the training process, he endured the torture of thunder and fire, gradually increasing the intensity of thunder and spiritual fire, and finally achieving the strengthening of his body. Fortunately, Yi Chen only had to spend half the money. As for thunder, he believed that the thunder he purchased was definitely not as good as his meteorite thunder. He only needs to buy spiritual fire, but this is also a huge expense. You can't just buy a flame once. Each spiritual fire has a number of uses and is a consumable. Yi Chen clicked on the Federal Mall and clicked on the column of Heaven and Earth spiritual objects. Ghost Fire, 100 million federal coins. Dragon Breath Fire, 500 million federal coins. Purple Lightning Thunder Fire, 300 million federal coins. Sky Burning World Fire, not for sale to outsiders. It's so expensive. There are some that are not for sale. I guess it's worth even more. Yi Chen looked at these top-notch spiritual fires with tears streaming down his face, and he was so greedy. However, Yi Chen still had the sense to drag them all to the bottom. Lava Fire, 2 million. Wood Spirit Fire, 3 million. Tree Heart Flame, 5 million. Buy a lava fire to try first. If the effect doesn't work, buy the Tree Heart Flame. Yi Chen thought about it and directly placed an order for a lava fire. Lava fire is actually a spiritual fire born from magma, and is the most common type of spiritual fire. However, although it is common, the effect is not bad, and it can be regarded as a very cost-effective spiritual fire. Lava fire is already in the inventory of Yuling City, so there is no need to send it from far away. After about 30 minutes, the food arrived, just like ordering takeout. Yi Chen received the goods and returned to the training room. The intelligent robot next to him had prepared several large buckets of water and fire extinguishers. Once something went wrong in Yi Chen's cultivation, it could be eliminated directly. Yi Chen took a deep breath and then opened the box. Inside the box was a transparent glass jar. There is a red flame in the glass jar, and there is a trace of black in the flame. Yi Chen entered the password, opened the jar, condensed the source energy into the shape of a palm, and took out the lava fire. As soon as the lava fire was taken out, the temperature in the training room rose a lot, and Yi Chen felt a hot wind blowing against his face. Yi Chen could only grit his teeth and endure it. This was 2 million, so he couldn't throw it away before he started practicing. The thunder and lightning in Yi Chen's left hand flickered continuously, while a flame floated in his right hand. There seemed to be a strange attraction between the two. He slowly sat cross-legged on the ground, closed his eyes, and began to enter a meditative state. Then, he pulled the energy of the meteorite thunder and lava fire into his body. When these two powerful forces were introduced into the meridians, Yi Chen immediately felt that the meridians seemed to burst. A sharp pain hit him from deep inside his body, making him almost unbearable. However, he gritted his teeth, guarded his mind tightly, and guided these two forces according to the root of the thunder-fire tempering body technique. In this dark training room, you can clearly see purple light flowing on the left side of Yi Chen's naked upper body, and red flames flashing on the right side. At this time, Yi Chen's meridians became extremely clear, as if he could see the internal veins through his skin. At this time, Yi Chen felt as if his body no longer belonged to him, and every cell was suffering unprecedented suffering. As soon as the large beads of sweat appeared, they were burned into mist by the flames, making a sizzling sound. His face was distorted to the extreme, and veins popped up all over his body, as if they were about to explode at any time. Ah! Yi Chen kept roaring in pain, and the sound was like a wild beast, resounding throughout the entire training room. However, despite the extreme pain, he still gritted his teeth and persisted, because he knew that this was a process he had to go through. If you can't bear even this little pain, how can you become a strong person? Fortunately, the sound insulation effect of this training room is very good. Otherwise, if Yi Qingyao heard his painful roar, I don't know how worried she would be. Finally, after about half an hour, the light on Yi Chen gradually dimmed. I saw cracks starting to appear on Yi Chen's body. These cracks started to spread from Yi Chen's head and extended to his feet. They looked like they were about to split apart, which was terrifying. As time went by, the light on Yi Chen gradually disappeared, and the cracks gradually disappeared. At this time, Yi Chen was soaked with sweat and his clothes clung tightly to his body, but his breathing had gradually stabilized. Yi Chen took an internal look at his physical condition and found that his meridians were a little wider than before. Moreover, some of the blocked meridians during previous cultivation were also opened. If Yi Chen practiced the 9 Nether Thunder technique at this time, his training speed should increase by about half. It's just that although Yi Chen's meridians are now broadened and opened up, the condition of the meridians is not good. After all, it was forged by lightning and fire, so the meridians looked a bit broken and dim. I have to repair the meridians first, otherwise forced cultivation may cause the meridians to break, which will be troublesome. Yi Chen frowned and thought to himself. At this moment, Yi Chen suddenly remembered his energy drink. He quickly took out the energy drink and drank it directly. Yi Chen only felt a cool liquid slide down his throat into his stomach, and then spread quickly. His body suddenly became warm, as if wrapped in a warm flame. This comfortable feeling made Yi Chen couldn't help but moan. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chen felt that his meridians began to absorb the energy in the tonic wine. The originally somewhat damaged meridians began to slowly repair at this moment. After a while, Yi Chen was surprised to find that his meridians were back to their original state, and even had a faint khaki color. Originally, the process of absorbing the strength wine was actually uncomfortable, but compared with the previous thunder and fire forging, it was like heaven and hell. In the face of greater pain, small pains turned into enjoyment, so Yi Chen felt comfortable when he absorbed the tonic wine. This is not because Yi Chen has masochism, don't be embarrassed. Yi Chen carefully sensed the status of his meridians, which were much stronger than before. Now if you use your training time on the 9 Nether Thunder technique, you should be able to withstand more power. After recovering, Yi Chen took a deep breath and circulated the source energy in his body, slowly flowing to his limbs and bones. With the flow of source energy, Yi Chen's body gradually became tense. He shouted softly and shook hard, and saw that the skin on Yi Chen's body began to peel off little by little, revealing the white and jade-like skin underneath. Yi Chen stood up, stretched his muscles and bones, and then punched the air forcefully. The wind roared from the fist and made a whistling sound. There was a hint of surprise on Yi Chen's face. I didn't expect that my physical strength would increase so much in just one training session. Yi Chen felt the power surging in his body and marveled secretly. This speed of improvement in strength made him very satisfied. He believed that as long as he continued to practice like this, he would be able to break through to a higher realm in no time. Yi Chen looked at the lava fire and found that after this practice, the lava fire was about 1/3 smaller. He frowned and murmured to himself, "It stands to reason that a lava fire is enough for more than 5 cultivations, but I didn't expect that it would only be enough for 3 cultivations when it came to my place." This means that Yi Chen needs to consume a lot of resources every time he practices. Without enough wealth to support him, it will be difficult to maintain such a practice progress. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but sigh. This cultivation is really a money-burning job. According to the current situation, Yi Chen needs to consume about 700,000 federal coins for each practice, and this is only a conservative estimate. When Yi Chen reaches a later stage in his cultivation, he will definitely use more advanced spiritual fires, and the cost will be even greater then. Fortunately, Yi Chen had the heavenly meteor Divine Thunder, which could save a lot of money, but even so, he felt tremendous pressure. It is true that body training is not something that ordinary people can afford. If I didn't have the bodybuilding wine and the heavenly meteor Divine Thunder, I would have spent more than 2 million for one training session, and the effect may not be as good as it is now. Yi Chen sighed with emotion. But after sensing his physical condition, Yi Chen felt that the cost and pain were worth it. At worst, he could just hunt more exotic beasts in the future. Only converting resources into actual combat power is the primary goal, and resources are meant to be used. Combat power and resources are inherently transformed into each other. The stronger the combat power, the easier it is for you to obtain resources. The more resources you have, the stronger you can be, at least for Yi Chen. System, open the panel. Host, Yi Chen. Realm, Warrior Level 2, Early Stage of Tongmei. Powers, Meteor Divine Thunder S Level, Divine Brewing Gourd S Level, Shadow S Level. Skills, 9 Nether Thunder Ju S Level, Thunder Fire Body Tempering Technique, A Level, Iron Forging Technique C Level. Combat Skills, Thunder Dragon Breaking Sky Strike, Small Success, 7-star Steps, High Success, Instant Shadow, High Success. Power Points, 50,000. Training Time, 7 years and 5 months. There is an additional early stage of channeling in the realm column, and he has broken through a small realm in just one practice. Yi Chen is very satisfied with the speed of his practice. The level of body refining is not like that of warriors. Each major realm has 9 stages. Each major realm of body refining only has 3 small realms, the early stage, the middle stage and the late stage. Although it seems that body training is more difficult than that of a warrior, it is not the case. The resources consumed by body training are far greater than that of a warrior. Moreover, the breakthrough of each realm requires a lot of time to polish, and Yi Chen was able to break through to the early stage of Tongmei so quickly. It was also because Yi Chen had been taking bodybuilding wine before, but he didn't have a breakthrough without the physical training method. It was reasonable that he could break through now. The 7 years and 5 months in the cultivation time column were obtained by Yi Chen in the wild that last night. After returning from the wild, Yi Chen was not in a hurry to use his training time. He knew that in the process of practicing the forging method, a slight mistake could lead to the collapse of Yuanai. That painful feeling, like being bound by invisible iron chains, made him feel physically and mentally exhausted during every exercise. Every day's practice was like fighting against his own limits. The soreness of his muscles and the exhaustion of his mind were intertwined, as if to remind him that gaining strength was by no means easy. This is also a good thing for Yi Chen. Compared with others, Yi Chen's improvement in cultivation is very fast and easy. Such painful practice can also calm Yi Chen's mind and guard against arrogance and impatience. In the next few days, I will focus on the thunder fire body tempering technique first. Yi Chen thought to himself, when the strength of the body training increases, I will take the thunder beads, and the effect will definitely be better. At this time, he is already in the meridian's opening stage. As the meridians gradually strengthen, his body will be able to withstand greater strength. If the energy of the thunder bead can be perfectly absorbed, perhaps the source sea can be transformed into a silver sea in one fell swoop. According to the records in the body forging method, the source energy in the source sea will be converted into yellow in the first stage, which is called the copper sea. When breaking through King Wu, it can increase the chance of breakthrough by 10%-20%. In the second stage, the source energy turns silvery white, which is called the silver sea, which can increase the probability of 20%-30%. Most geniuses will choose to break through at this time. In the third stage, the source energy turns into gold, which is called the golden sea, which can increase the chance by 40%-50%, but few people choose to wait for the source sea to become the golden sea before breaking through. Although the breakthrough probability has been greatly improved, he still wants to transform the source sea into the golden sea. Not only does it require talent, but it also requires sufficient resources and time. This means paying a huge price, so many people are unwilling to take the risk. Moreover, for most geniuses, as long as they can reach the silver sea, breaking through to the realm of King Wu is almost a sure thing. There is no need to pursue higher levels of improvement. Although Yuan Hai's transformation is still helpful to the realm after King Wu. But if too much time is wasted on practicing the forging method, it may lead to more losses than gains. After all, as you age, bottlenecks become increasingly difficult to break through. If you spend a lot of time transforming the golden sea, you will be old when you are already very old. The increase in the probability of breakthrough that the golden sea can bring offsets the negative impact of age, and the final result may be just a waste of effort. However, Janae does allow you to have more powerful combat power at the same level. But the same level mentioned here does not mean the same age, because your peers may have surpassed you by a whole level at this time. Therefore, after weighing the pros and cons, many people choose to give up transforming the golden sea, and instead focus on breaking through to the king of martial realm to avoid falling into endless waiting. But Yi Chen was different. Yi Chen's biggest advantage compared to others was time. Moreover, the source energy tempered by the body forging method also has a very important characteristic, that is, it is permanent. This permanence is not a simple concept. For example, your current source sea has been trained into a silver sea by your efforts. Then from this moment on, the newly added source energy during your subsequent cultivation will automatically turn into silver, and there is no need to use the forging method again. This is all thanks to the special relationship between Yuan Neng and Yuan Hai. After all source energy is generated through the source sea. When you successfully convert all the source energy in the source sea into silver, this silver source energy will in turn affect the source sea, causing qualitative changes in the source sea. In this way, the source energy generated later will naturally turn into silver, achieving a permanent transformation. Therefore, although the process of forging source energy may make you feel extremely painful, but as long as you stick to it and do it right once, it will be very easy later. So this is why Yi Chen hasn't used his training time to improve his cultivation since he started practicing the iron forging method. Because his cultivation level has improved, but the source energy has not been transformed, he will have to spend more time converting the excess source energy. As long as Yuan Hai is completely transformed, Yi Chen can directly improve his cultivation level once and for all. I only have one lava fire now. I should be able to use it up in one night. I might as well buy more. Yi Chen thought to himself. Lava fire is enough for him to use in the channel opening stage, and its strength is also sufficient. So Yi Chen ordered 5 lava fires without hesitation, spending a total of 10 million. However, this expense made his originally relatively well-off account instantly empty, with only a few $100s left. In comparison, even Yi Qingyao is richer than him. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but frown and felt distressed. Not long after, the courier delivered the goods. Looking at the 5 sealed jars in front of him, Yi Chen felt that the huge sum of money had really been used. Suddenly, an idea flashed through his mind. Why don't you use your training time to try it? If you use it day by day, it shouldn't cause too much burden on the body. And I also have monkey wine, which has a very healing effect. Yes, it should be able to avoid leaving hidden wounds. Yi Chen touched his chin, his eyes flashing with thought, and unlike the previous practice of the iron forging technique, the thunder fire body tempering technique requires the help of flames and thunder to continue practicing. Without these conditions, the technique will automatically stop functioning. Therefore, he decided to try to use his training time to complete the training of thunder fire body tempering technique. As for the iron forging technique, no matter what state your Yuan Hai is in, he will practice it automatically, so Yi Chen doesn't dare to use his training time to practice the iron forging technique. Yi Chen took a deep breath, took out the half jar of monkey wine from the energy storage bracelet with a firm look, and carefully placed it in front of him. He stared at the jar of monkey wine and hesitated slightly. Considering that he might encounter unexpected situations, he decided to take out another jar as a backup, just in case. Since he successfully broke through to the warrior realm, the amount of strengthening wine brewed by his divine brewing gourd has also increased, which is enough to meet his needs. At this moment, 2 jars of energy-enhancing wine, half a jar of monkey wine and the remaining 2/3 of lava fire were placed in front of Yi Chen. After completing these steps, Yi Chen first drank a few sips of the strengthening wine, and the rich aroma of the wine filled his mouth. Then he took another sip of the monkey wine without swallowing it. After being fully prepared, Yi Chen once again directed the 2/3 of the lava fire to his right hand, and at the same time, his left hand began to gather the meteorite thunder. He controlled the power carefully and attentively, not daring to relax at all. System: use 1 day's practice time on the thunder fire tempering body technique. As his order was issued, the meteorite thunder and lava fire in Yi Chen's hands rapidly decreased at an alarming rate. In the blink of an eye, lava fire and meteorite thunder merged into his meridians, causing a sharp tingling sensation. Instantly, the left half of Yi Chen's body was surrounded by purple thunder and lightning, while the right half was ignited with blazing flames. Ah! The unbearable pain made Yi Chen couldn't help but scream in agony. The pain was like thousands of fine needles piercing into the bone marrow at the same time, making it unbearable for him. However, despite the pain, Yi Chen still gritted his teeth and clenched his fists tightly, insisting on not letting himself fall. Yi Chen endured the pain until it was unbearable, then he swallowed the monkey wine in his mouth. When the wine entered his stomach, he immediately felt a wonderful change. The body that had been burned unbearably by the lava fire suddenly felt a cool feeling, as if a cool breeze was blowing by in summer. This cool feeling quickly spread throughout the body, and even the high temperature brought by the lava fire was alleviated. Yi Chen's closed eyes slowly opened, and the world in front of him became clear. He was pleasantly surprised to find that his vision was no longer blurry and his thinking became sharper. However, at this time, he still felt countless thunder and flames raging in his body, and the severe pain of his meridians being destroyed made him take a breath. Despite this, Yi Chen still forced himself to pick up the half jar of monkey wine and took a big sip without hesitation. This time, he felt that the pain was significantly reduced, but the uncomfortable feeling was still there. As time went by, his meridians were constantly impacted by fire and thunder, almost breaking every time. But then, the power of monkey wine will come into play to repair the damaged meridians. This process happened repeatedly. Yi Chen's body was under tremendous pressure, his face was as pale as paper, and his forehead was dripping with cold sweat. Gradually, Yi Chen became insensitive to this pain. He gritted his teeth tightly and silently endured the physical torture. In the process, he gradually adapted to this state. Time passed quickly, but to Yi Chen, it seemed like a long time had passed. As his body continued to grow, his 5 senses became more sensitive, allowing him to have a deeper experience of the severe pain caused by physical training. At this moment, Yi Chen's whole body was charred black, as lifeless as a piece of black coal. He sat there cross-legged, like a black stone with no other color. However, after a few minutes, Yi Chen finally slowly opened his eyes. At this time, his eyes were shining with a strange light, looking particularly bright and piercing. He slowly stood up from the ground, and every slight movement caused the black skin on his body to peel off. Finally, he shook his body gently, shaking off all the black skin on his body. This time, Yi Chen did not rely on the power of source energy and relied entirely on the power of his physical body. Yi Chen couldn't help but reached out and touched his head, and was surprised to find that the originally thick hair had disappeared. He was startled and rushed to the bathroom. When he stood in front of the mirror, he was stunned by the sight in front of him. In the mirror, he not only lost all his hair, but even his eyebrows were gone, making him look like a hairless man. However, Yi Chen's figure has become better, and his skin is also very smooth and delicate. This is a sign of fewer impurities in the body, making him look more like a pretty boy. Fortunately, the hair will grow back quickly. I didn't expect that. I chose to practice the Thunder Fire body tempering technique because of hair loss, but I still couldn't escape the process of hair loss. Yi Chen looked at his bare head and sighed helplessly. But fortunately, he can direct the source energy to his head later, which will speed up the hair growth. In this way, he can restore his original handsome image as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Yi Chen felt a little better. If he had chosen to practice the 9 transformations golden body art, the situation might have been completely different. Because with every breakthrough in the 9 turns golden body technique, the pores will shrink and the growth rate of hair will become extremely slow. Even if it is not mature, the hair will become thinner. And when it reaches Dacheng, it will be a perfect golden body. At that time, there will really be no hair on the whole body. Therefore, compared with practicing the 9 turns golden body technique, Yi Chen can still accept that he is now only temporarily hairless. After all, the head can be broken, the blood can be shed, and the hairstyle cannot be messed up, let alone lose the hair. He comforted himself, believing that as long as he kept practicing, he would soon be able to grow new hair. The effect of this monkey wine is too strong. Just 2 sips of it can continuously repair my meridians. Even my previously injured yuan eye has been repaired, and there is still energy left to strengthen me, body. Yi Chen was surprised. He originally thought that monkey wine could only cure some injuries or speed up cultivation, but he didn't expect that it was so powerful. Yi Chen couldn't help but lament that he still underestimated the efficacy of monkey wine. You must know that monkey wine is an extremely precious wine, its value is equivalent to a real treasure of heaven and earth. After just 2 sips, he already felt the huge benefits brought by the monkey wine. Thinking of this, Yi Chen's heart was filled with joy. He also has 9 jars of monkey wine. If used properly, it will be enough for him to transform the source sea into the silver sea and refine his body to break through the meridians. With this monkey wine, my speed of refining my body and transforming the source sea will definitely be greatly improved in the future. Yi Chen said confidently, his eyes shining. Yi Chen felt the surging power in his body and knew that he was about to break through to the middle stage of Tongmei realm. So he decided to strike while the iron was hot and continue practicing, striving to break through to the realm of body refining as soon as possible. Yi Chen thought to himself, anyway, my hair is gone, so let's just continue practicing. Without hesitation he picked up a lava fire again. Since his previous practice had caused all his clothes to be burned, he was too lazy to change them. After all, there was no one else here. So he sat naked on the ground and started a new round of practice. Throughout the night, Yi Chen continued to use strengthening wine and monkey wine to assist his training, consuming all 5 lava fires. Half the jar of Hauer wine was consumed, which doesn't sound like much, but Yi Chen only had 9.5 jars in total, and now there were only 9 jars left. Moreover, this monkey wine requires 1 jar and 1 jar less. It will not be easy to get it later. Although the training process was very painful, he could clearly feel that his strength had been significantly improved. The satisfaction brought by this increase in strength made him intoxicated. At this moment, Yi Chen's eyes were bright and full of confidence. He waved his fist vigorously, and the strong wind whizzed by, making a crisp sound. System, open the panel. Host, Yi Chen. Realm, Warrior Level 2, Middle Stage of Tongmei. Powers, Meteor Divine Thunder S level, Divine Brewing Gourd S level, Shadow S level. Skills, 9 Nether Thunder Ju S level, Thunder Fire Body Tempering Technique, A level Iron Forging Technique C level. Combat Skills, Thunder Dragon Breaking Sky Strike, Small Success, 7-star Steps, High Success, Instant Shadow, High Success. Power Points, 50,000. Cultivation Time, 7 years, 4 months and 25 days. I didn't expect that it would take 5 lava fires to be consumed before reaching the middle stage of channel connection. This is 10 million. Yi Chen had a look of pain on his face. He had no choice but to practice cultivation now. When he came back from the wild, he still had more than 40 million, but he didn't expect that he would be out of money in just a few days. However, he still has a sum of money that Zhao Hai has not sent to him yet, and he is now waiting for that money to live off his life. Let's do this for now. It's daybreak now. Let's go to school. After Yi Chen's body became stronger, he didn't need much time to sleep. Even if he didn't sleep, it wouldn't be a big deal. So Yi Chen was still in high spirits after staying up all night. Yi Chen changed his clothes and went directly to school. He was too busy during this period, so he asked Yi Qingyao to get food by herself. Yi Qingyao did not make trouble unreasonably. He knew that Yi Chen was at the critical moment of the college entrance examination and could not be distracted. Yi Chen went to the office of the teacher who opened the stove for him as usual. The female teacher looked at Yi Chen and was stunned for a moment, not even recognizing Yi Chen. Yi Chen scratched his bald head in embarrassment. "Teacher, it's me, Yi Chen." "Ah, what are you doing?" The female teacher was a little speechless. Why did Yi Chen feel weak and hairless for a while? Is this a genius hobby? I am practicing a skill recently. This is a process, not something I cut off intentionally. Yi Chen looked at her with a strange expression and quickly explained that it was not like he had any strange hobbies as he had been misunderstood. "Oh, that's okay, I don't understand this either, you just have to figure it out yourself." She was just a cultural teacher. She really didn't know much about martial arts training, but it was obvious from her look that she didn't believe Yi Chen. Yi Chen couldn't explain it. After all, he looked a little strange now. Just when Yi Chen was still racking his brains to think about how to explain to the teacher, a familiar voice suddenly came. "Is this the classroom? It's so annoying that I have to take the cultural test." Immediately afterwards, the door was pushed open, and a dark-skinned student walked in with an impatient look on his face. The person who came was none other than Chu Tian. "Fat man?" Yi Chen asked with some uncertainty. Although the voice did sound like that of Chu Tian, the image of the tall, dark-skinned muscular man in front of him was far from the Chu Tian in his memory, which made it difficult for Yi Chen to determine whether the other person was Chu Tian. "A Chen." Chu Tian also looked at the bald head in front of him with some doubts, not quite believing that this was Yi Chen. "Fat man, how did you become a muscular man? Did you lose weight successfully?" Yi Chen stood up, walked around Chu Tian, and looked at him carefully. Seeing Yi Chen's surprised expression, Chu Tian raised his chin proudly, displayed his arms as if to show off, and deliberately showed off his strong muscles. "Are you dumbfounded? I've told you before that losing weight is just a piece of cake for me, but I just haven't thought about it." Yi Chen looked at Chu Tian with a helpless expression on his face. He recalled Chu Tian's past experience of pursuing girls and couldn't help but shook his head. Several times, Chu Tian confessed his love to some girls, but without exception, he was rejected because of his appearance. Whenever this happens, Chu Tian will always run to Yi Chen and cry, promising to start losing weight. However, after only 2 days of depression, he returned to his previous state, and his enthusiasm for love quickly dissipated. Yi Chen still remembered that Chu Tian once pursued the girl with the best academic performance in the grade. That girl is not only beautiful, but also has a gentle personality, like a white moonlight. Without any suspense, Chu Tian was ruthlessly rejected again. But that time, Chu Tian was not discouraged and instead showed off his wealth. Give girls various expensive gifts, such as bags, clothes, etc., confidently thinking that you can win her heart. But the result was shocking. The girl returned all the gifts without hesitation. He even scolded Chu Tian severely, accusing him of not knowing how to respect others. That was the most sad time for Chu Tian, and he felt sad for a whole month. When Chu Tian told Yi Chen this experience, Yi Chen couldn't help but sigh. Those boys and girls who have not yet entered the society and maintain their pure hearts are probably the only group that will not be confused by money. I just don't know if I will regret it in the future. Although Chu Tian was fat before, he actually looked quite cute. Now, although he has lost some weight and turned into a muscular man, he looks a little anxious. But overall, his appearance is still good. Yi Chen looked at Chu Tian's proud look and secretly laughed in his heart. He knew that Chu Tian liked to show off his figure, so he didn't want to expose him and just let him be happy for a while. It's you, why are you thinking about shaving your head? You also shaved your eyebrows. Do you want to start over? Chu Tian was also very curious when he saw Yi Chen's appearance. After all, Yi Chen used to be quite handsome, and even he was willing to be inferior to her. Why has he changed like this now? Yi Chen rolled his eyes at Chu Tian helplessly, thinking to himself that this guy really didn't care about anything. He sighed and explained, "This is the reason why I practice martial arts. Don't think that I look strange now. Let me tell you, my current strength is beyond your imagination. I can beat you down with one hand. Believe it or not." Quote. After speaking, Yi Chen showed a confident smile. After hearing this, Chu Tian was filled with doubts. He has never heard of any exercises that can make people lose their hair and eyebrows. Is this a special cultivation method? He didn't pay attention to the second half of Yi Chen's sentence. He is much stronger than Yi Chen now, and Yi Chen is like a little chicken in front of him. He thought that Yi Chen was just bragging and that there was no way he could be that powerful. Suddenly Chu Tian's eyes rolled and he seemed to have an idea. He put his right hand on Yi Chen's shoulder and a sly smile appeared on his face. "Then you should take more care of me in the future." As he spoke, the strength in his hands increased unknowingly. With a smile on his lips, Yi Chen replied, "It's easy to talk about, just call Brother Chen to come and listen." Chu Tian couldn't help but feel startled when he saw that Yi Chen's expression remained unchanged, without any change. At first, because he was worried that Yi Chen would be injured, he didn't dare to use too much force. But now seeing Yi Chen's appearance, he began to doubt whether Yi Chen was really as powerful as he said. Is it true that the shorter the hair, the stronger? Yi Chen secretly rejoiced when he saw Chu Tian lost his smile and even started sweating on his forehead. He stretched out his hand and patted Chu Tian's back, one time harder than the other, making Chu Tian grin. Yi Chen said sincerely, "Be nice to Brother Chen from now on. Brother Chen will protect you during the college entrance examination." As Yi Chen continued to slap his hand, Chu Tian quickly said, that's wrong, Brother Chen, stop hitting." Seeing Chu Tian's embarrassed look, Yi Chen couldn't help laughing and said jokingly, "How about it, do you dare to be arrogant with your Brother Chen again?" Chu Tian waved his hands repeatedly and said with a flattering look on his face, I don't dare anymore, Brother Chen, I know I was wrong." At this time, Chu Tian had no doubts about Yi Chen's strength. He asked curiously, "Brother Chen, what exactly are you practicing? Is it true that the less hair you have, the stronger you are?" The corners of Yi Chen's mouth raised slightly, revealing a sly smile. Pretending to be mysterious, he lowered his voice and said to Chu Tian, "This was secretly told to me by the senior sister of the Magic City Martial Arts University. She said that as long as you shave off your hair, your cultivation speed will be accelerated a lot. This can be considered a little trick, otherwise how could I become so powerful?" Chu Tian frowned and asked doubtfully, "If that's the case, then why didn't that senior sister shave her head?" Yi Chen secretly smiled in his heart, but replied seriously on his face, "Because our level is still relatively low now, source energy will flow uncontrollably to hair and other parts during cultivation. Have you felt that since you started practicing, your hair has become thinner? Grow faster?" Chu Tian scratched his head and nodded thoughtfully, "That seems to be the case." "That's right. If we shave off all our hair, we can save so much energy. Senior sisters have already reached that level, and this little energy is not important to them at all. But for us, these source energies are very precious and must not be wasted." When Chu Tian heard this, he suddenly realized, so that's it. Then I'll shave my hair later. Seeing Chu Tian stunned for a moment by what he said, Yi Chen couldn't help it anymore. He turned his head to the side and laughed secretly. The teacher looked at Yi Chen and Chu Tian talking quietly there, completely ignoring him, and felt very speechless. "This classmate, what are you doing here?" The teacher finally couldn't help but ask. "Ah, by the way, hello, teacher. My name is Chu Tian, and Yan Ban asked me to come here to take tuition in cultural classes. Chu Tian replied quickly. Another student with bad grades. The teacher sighed secretly. Is it popular this year for students with poor grades to counterattack? How come these students who have awakened top powers are all scumbags? Chu Tian and Yi Chen didn't know that they had been labeled as bad students in the eyes of their teachers. If Yi Chen knew about this, he would definitely be the first to express dissatisfaction. After all, he just didn't have enough time to study. If he had time, it shouldn't be a problem to get a passing grade. Chu Tian, on the other hand, is truly a scumbag who cannot make any excuses. Are you also here to make up for cultural lessons? Chu Tian asked Yi Chen curiously. Don't you know what's going on between us? Yi Chen replied angrily with a dark line on his face. Part of the reason Chu Tian and Yi Chen became friends was because Yi Chen's grades were also very poor. They were equally matched and both were poor students. Okay, come here, I'll tell you both. The teacher quickly interrupted the two of them who wanted to continue chatting. Before, Yi Chen was the only one in class, which was a bit boring, and Yi Chen always looked lifeless. Now that Chu Tian is here, the two are still good friends, and they are more energetic when they learn. This made the teacher feel a little more relaxed. Anyway, the goal of the two of them was only 40 points. According to this situation, it shouldn't be a problem. After school in the evening, the two finally finished their day's study and were ready to go home together. Where have you been these days? Yan Ban said you went to special training. What kind of special training can make you lose so much weight? Yi Chen asked the doubts in his heart. Chu Tian wanted to continue playing tricks, but suddenly thought of something terrible. Sighing, it is indeed special training. I almost ran out of people to train me. What's going on? Yi Chen asked curiously. My dad was overjoyed when he found out that I had awakened my A-level powers. He rewarded me with many things. The house you live in now is in my name, and he also gave me some property. Showing off your wealth. Do you want me to pay your rent? Yi Chen was a little speechless. Did this guy just come to show off his wealth to himself? He was still in Versailles. Chu Tian sighed. You also know the situation of my family. Although there are some good warriors under the Chamber of Commerce, they are not named Chu after all. The wages paid to those warriors account for a large amount of the Chamber of Commerce's expenses, and if the Chamber of Commerce wants to reach a higher level, a powerful warrior is indispensable. If you want to invite powerful warriors, the Chamber of Commerce will have to pay a lot of money, even shares. Once you give more shares, who do you think the Chu Chamber of Commerce will listen to in the future? So our Chu Chamber of Commerce has not expanded in size over the years. Yi Chen glanced at Chu Tian in surprise. In the past, he thought Chu Tian was just a rich second generation, but he didn't expect that he was still very concerned about the situation at home. That's true, after all, strength is still respected in this world. Yi Chen said with emotion. That's the truth. Chu Tian also agreed. But in the future, if the Chu family has you, you won't have to worry about these. When you become stronger, these problems will be solved. Chu Tian glanced at Yi Chen angrily. That's the truth, so my dad rewarded me a lot of things at first, but later he found out that as long as I got into the top 2000, I could go to the Magic City Wuhan University and even more excited. Isn't this a good thing? Yeah, it's indeed a good thing. My dad was worried that I wouldn't be able to get into the top 2000 and would hold you back, so he found 7 martial arts teachers for me, 1 every day, and they won't be the same for a week. 7 generals. What a big family. Yi Chen's eyes widened. Chu Tian also showed a rare expression of pain, and said with some helplessness, it took a total of 70 million training fees for 2 weeks. Adding the resources I used in these 2 weeks, it cost at least hundreds of millions. Hearing this number, Yi Chen couldn't help but widen his eyes, feeling surprised and shocked. He closed his mouth and said nothing, thinking secretly that he would fight to the death in the wild, go through all kinds of hardships and dangers, and rely on luck to gain wealth. However, even so, he only earned about 50 million despite all his calculations. In comparison, Chu Tian spent more than 100 million in just 2 weeks of training. This made Yi Chen deeply realize that there is a huge gap between rich people and ordinary people. Then I went through 2 weeks of hellish training, and this is what happened. Chu Tian recalled that difficult training time with a hint of fear in his tone. Yi Chen couldn't help but joked. You spent so much money, if you don't lose weight, you won't be able to afford the more than 100 million. Chu Tian smiled, not angry, but said proudly, I have awakened to the 8th level now. Maybe I can break through to the 9th level before the college entrance examination. How about it? Isn't it awesome? However, Yi Chen did not hit him as usual this time, but seriously nodded in agreement. Then your money is indeed worth it. You must know that Mu Qingwan, whom we met before, only reached the 6th level of awakening with the full support and assistance of Wu Di, a pharmacist at the peak of the 5th level. Although Chu Tian's power level is 1 level higher than Mu Qingwan's, he does not have the support of a powerful pharmacist like Wu Di. Being able to break through to the 8th level of awakening with one's own efforts and the teachings of those 7 generals is already quite remarkable. However, Yi Chen knew very well that with Mu Qingwan's talent and potential, she would never stop at the 6th level of awakening when it came to the college entrance examination. After all, a pharmacist at the peak of the 5th level is not a vegetarian. When he thought of Mu Qingwan, the corners of Yi Chen's mouth unconsciously raised, revealing a faint smile. He secretly wondered in his heart, wondering if Mu Qingwan was defeated by him again by then, would teacher Wu Di still insist on accepting her as his direct disciple? Yi Chen looked forward to the college entrance examination more and more. It's up to you. How's your cultivation going? But it's okay. I'll protect you during the college entrance examination. Chu Tian began to get carried away again. Me, you can't beat me with just one hand. You should take care of yourself. Yi Chen responded with a relaxed expression. Oh, it's not a shame to be covered by brother, don't be shy. Chu Tian said while hugging Yi Chen with a mean smile on his face. You'll know when the time comes. I'll go back first. Yi Chen's shoulders shook slightly, and Chu Tian's hand holding him was shaken away, and then he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Ah Chen is really bragging. Chu Tian looked at Yi Chen's disappearing figure with some doubts. Chapter 71. Back home, Yi Chen ate as usual, reviewed what he had learned today, and then went straight to the training room. At this time, my sister Yi Qingyao suddenly said crisply, Brother, you must be fine. This sentence surprised Yi Chen. After all, he has been busy with various affairs these days and has hardly talked to Yi Qingyao. However, at this moment, this little girl suddenly expressed her concern for him. Yi Chen showed a pleased smile and responded gently, Well, it's okay. There is only 1 week left before the college entrance examination. After the exam is over, my brother will take you out to play. Hearing this, Yi Qingyao nodded gently and responded obediently, Okay. During this period of time, Yi Qingyao saw all Yi Chen's efforts. But she knew that she couldn't do anything for her brother, so she could only give verbal support to Yi Chen. In the past, Yi Chen was always busy working part-time to make money, while Yi Qingyao slept all day long due to physical discomfort, resulting in little communication between them. Later, Yi Chen was out for more than half a month after awakening, and the two of them lacked opportunities to communicate. Despite this, the relationship between the two siblings is still deep. Yi Qingyao was very sensible and never complained about Yi Chen spending too little time with her. She knew in her heart that Yi Chen was working so hard to make money just because he wanted to cure her disease. Whenever her physical condition improves slightly, Yi Qingyao will clean her home spotlessly so that Yi Chen does not have to worry about the trivial matters of life. However, she was filled with guilt deep inside. She often blames herself. If she hadn't been seriously ill, maybe Yi Chen would have had an easier life. Or would it have been better for everyone if Yi Chen never took her away from the Yi family and allowed her to fend for herself in the Yi family? But she didn't know that no matter what kind of disease she suffered from, no matter how difficult Yi Chen's life was, Yi Chen would always take her away from the Yi family firmly. For Yi Chen, Yi Qingyao is not only his only relative. It was the light that could pull him back from the dark abyss when he was on the verge of despair countless times. Many times, Yi Chen suffered endless torture and pain in the Yi family. But when he thought that he still had a younger sister to take care of, he gritted his teeth and fought through it tenaciously. Yi Chen returned to the underground training room and recalled every bit of the past. Because Yi Qingyao has been sick, he cannot send her to school. Thinking about it now, after the college entrance examination is over, they will go to Shanghai, and they will have to find a suitable school for Yi Qingyao. Being derailed from society for a long time and having no communication with peers is not a good thing after all. After thinking about this, Yi Chen opened his account. The account balance was 369.28, which was quite good. Yi Chen sighed. I have no money, so my cultivation progress may be delayed. Now I'm just waiting for the money from Uncle Zhao. If the money is enough, it should be enough for me to break through to the late stage of Tongmei realm. When the time comes, I can refine the source energy and it should be much faster. Forget it, we have to practice the iron forging method first, and then we can train the body when the money comes later. Yi Chen was also a little helpless. As expected, Wu was selling gold in the cave. But now I have monkey wine, which can also treat Yuan Hai's injuries. How about instead of using monkey wine, try spending your training time on forging iron? Yi Chen suddenly had an idea. If you can use your training time to practice the forging method, Yi Chen Yuanai's transformation speed will be greatly increased. It shouldn't be a big problem. I'm in the middle stage of meridians now. The strength of my meridians is pretty good. Yuan Hai is also much stronger than before. It should be fine if I only practice for one day. Yi Chen was also a little unsure. The source energy in Yi Chen's current source C has been completely converted into copper yellow, but the color is not deep enough. If he uses his training time to practice successfully, Yi Chen should be able to transform the source C into the silver C very soon. In the face of temptation, Yi Chen still couldn't control it. Okay, cultivation is about retreating if you don't advance. There are not many people in the entire Chinese Federation who can transform the source C into the silver C before the college entrance examination. If I can do it, the resources I will get when I enroll will definitely be more many. Even if Yi Chen has a system that can greatly shorten his training time, it still requires massive resources to support it. Just like at this moment, he wanted to continue practicing but was unable to do so due to lack of resources. The system only accelerated his cultivation process and would not directly give him the resources he needed. However, this is good enough. After all, at the same level, Yi Chen requires far less training resources than others. But this is only limited to the same realm. If Yi Chen is only satisfied with this, wouldn't it be a waste of the existence of the system? Therefore, if others have cultivated to the Silver Sea realm, he must cultivate to the Golden Sea realm. Others can only achieve a small level of combat skills at this stage, but he must achieve a great level of success. He must pursue perfection and reach the extreme at every stage. Only in this way can his martial arts path go further. Since he traveled through time, Yi Chen naturally still has such courage. After making up his mind, Yi Chen took out 2 jars of monkey wine from his energy storage bracelet and placed them in front of him. He took a big sip and then took a sip. Then he quickly recited in his mind, "System, spend 1 day's practice time on the forging method." Boom! Yi Chen felt as if his origin C was being impacted by a powerful force, making thunderous noises and turbulent waves, as if it was about to break through its restraints. Fine beads of sweat quickly appeared on Yi Chen's forehead and slid down his cheeks. The veins in his neck were throbbing. He was obviously suffering from great pain. However, he did not give up and persisted. Fortunately, he had taken a big sip of monkey wine before, and at this time, golden light spots filled the sky in the source sea, like stars, slowly blending into the source sea. These golden light spots seemed to have magical power, gradually restoring calm to the source sea. But this is just the beginning, and more difficult tests are still waiting for him. A giant hammer appeared in the sky above Yi Chen's origin sea. The style of the hammer was more refined and gorgeous than what he had condensed before. However, when the giant hammer suddenly hit it, Yi Chen had no time to appreciate its shape. I saw the giant hammer slamming into Yuan Hai at an astonishing speed. Water splashed everywhere in an instant, and a vacuum zone was formed where the giant hammer struck. Yi Chen hurriedly swallowed the remaining monkey wine in his mouth, but the severe pain made him spit out a mouthful of blood, which was mixed with the monkey wine. He didn't have time to think too much. He immediately reached out and grabbed the jar in front of him and drank heavily. With the help of Haorju, Yi Chen's Yuanai is constantly being repaired. After one strike, the hammer disappeared, and Yi Chen's origin C returned to calm. Yi Chen slowly opened his eyes. Fortunately, there is only one hammer. I really can't bear the next one. Yi Chen was a little scared. A day's practice time only condensed into one hammer. You can imagine how powerful this hammer is. However, the effect is also visible to the naked eye. A few rays of source energy in Yi Chen's source energy are already glowing with a faint silver light, and the rest of the source energy has become darker in copper color. Just one strike turned out to be so effective. If this continues, I can really reach Yinhai before the college entrance examination. Yi Chen looked excited. At this moment, Yi Chen was completely immersed in Yuanhai's rapid transformation, and the pain caused by cultivation had long been forgotten by him. Let's do it again. Maybe we can break through to the Silver Sea realm tonight, Yi Chen said with excitement on his face. He sat cross-legged and did not start practicing immediately, but quietly adjusted his breathing. Although his source C has been transformed a lot, it still takes time for the efficacy of the monkey wine to be fully effective. He must wait for Yuanhai to fully recover before he can continue practicing. After a period of rest, Yuanhai finally returned to his original state. System, help me open a day of practice time for practicing the forging method. Then, Yuanhai once again condensed a huge hammer and hit Yuanhai hard. In this way, while drinking the monkey wine, Yi Chen used his training time to wait patiently for Yuanhai to recover, and then repeated this process and continued practicing all night. Later, Yi Chen was able to withstand a whole day of training without vomiting blood, which showed that the strength of his origin C was constantly increasing. The next morning, Yi Chen slowly opened his eyes flashing with excitement, finally successful. My origin C has been completely transformed into silver. His voice was full of joy and excitement. At this time, the source energy in his source C has completely turned into silver, and all that is left is to wait for the source energy to gradually transform the source C. When the source C is completely transformed into the silver C, the source C will expand a bit, which is also an additional benefit brought by transforming the source C. According to common sense, Yi Chen cannot be said to have truly reached the silver C level, but it is only a matter of time. Yi Chen's face looked a little pale, but there was no sign of fatigue on his face, especially his bright and energetic eyes, which revealed an irrepressible confidence and determination. Before the college entrance examination, my Yuanai should be able to be completely transformed. He whispered to himself, full of expectations in his heart. Yi Chen knew that his current strength was enough to stand out among his peers. Many talented people will choose to directly use their training time to improve their cultivation, so as to break through bottlenecks faster and achieve a higher realm. But Yi Chen is not satisfied with this, he has a more ambitious goal. He is not an ordinary genius, but a unique talent with a system. His ambition is not limited to immediate achievements, but the pursuit of higher peaks. How can I, Yi Chen, stop here? He said passionately, with incomparable confidence in his tone. Once upon a time, Yi Chen only hoped to live peacefully in this world with his sister Yi Qingyao. Since Yi Chen awakened the system, his strength has risen rapidly like a rocket. As his strength grew, Yi Chen's mentality and concepts also underwent earth-shaking changes. The boy who once had low self-esteem and was introverted has now become confident, sunny and cheerful. This change stems from the increase in strength, giving him more confidence to face the world. At this moment, all Yi Chen wants to do is to continuously improve his strength, create a better living environment for Yi Qingyao, and at the same time take revenge on the Yi family and uncover the truth behind the disappearance of his parents. Perhaps when his strength further improves, his goals will change again. Therefore, Yi Chen is not in a hurry to break through the current realm, but focuses on continuing to improve the source C, hoping to break through to the legendary Golden Sea realm. Judging from Yi Chen's current strength, although he is not guaranteed to win the top prize, it should not be a problem to lead Chu Tian into the top 2,000. Although the level of combat skills he has mastered is quite high, he understands that there are mountains beyond the mountains and there are people beyond the people. His cultivation speed is already unrivaled in the small Yuling city, but he clearly realizes that Yuling city is just a small place and there is a wider world outside. In this small Yuling city, Yi Chen knew that Chu Tian had spent more than 100 million to improve his strength. However, there are many families richer than the Chu family, and the resources they possess far exceed Yi Chen's imagination. Maybe the children of these big families can directly use the treasures of heaven and earth to practice. But Yi Chen didn't know about this. Maybe he would meet such an opponent in the future college entrance examination. However, Yi Chen did not belittle himself because of this. Because he knew that although he lacked resources, he possessed 3 unparalleled S-level talents, which no amount of wealth could exchange for. In addition, his combat skill level has reached the level of Xiaocheng or Dacheng, which is undoubtedly a major advantage for him. Therefore, Yi Chen is still full of confidence. The most important thing at the moment is to continue to improve Yuanai. With my current practical ability, I should be able to achieve good results in the college entrance examination. However, if I miss the opportunity to be promoted to Jinnei because I pursue the college entrance examination results too much, it will not be worth the gain. Yi Chen came to a conclusion after thinking carefully. Yi Chen went to school after breakfast. Yi Chen saw Chu Tian's back from afar. Chu Tian had a shaved head, which was so shiny that it hurt his eyes. Yi Chen covered his mouth to keep from laughing, and quickly caught up with him. However, Yi Chen saw that Chu Tian looked depressed and had 2 dark circles on his face. "What's wrong with you? Why are you so wilted after shaving your head? Is this what you did last night?" Yi Chen looked at Chu Tian with some contempt, who looked like he had a weak kidney. Chu Tian rolled his eyes at Yi Chen angrily. "The college entrance examination is in a week. You really think I'm a fool? Then what's wrong with you? My dad knows that there is a cultural score test. When I went back yesterday, he had already hired a tutor. I had an all-night class. If I hadn't drank a refreshing potion, I might not be able to open my eyes now." Yi Chen opened his mouth wide and gave Chu Tian a thumbs up. "Awesome." Then he paused and continued, "I mean your father." Hearing Yi Chen's words, Chu Tian's face turned even darker, but he no longer had the energy to argue with Yi Chen, and silently took out a potion from his pocket and drank it. When Yi Chen saw Chu Tian drinking tens of thousands of yuan worth of medicine as water, he was speechless for a moment and just cursed the big dog in his heart. The 2 of them went to school with their shining bald heads. Many people on the road looked at the 2 of them curiously and whispered to each other. Even some of the little fans who had supported Yi Chen after he defeated Wu Kai hid away after recognizing Yi Chen. This made Yi Chen sigh that in this world of Yango, everyone is like this just because they have no hair. Bald people have no human rights. But Chu Tian didn't care at all. He was not very popular. But this was good, at least Yi Chen didn't have to worry about anyone harassing him, but he still had to let his hair grow out as soon as possible, otherwise it would be a bit unsightly to have a light bulb on his head. The 2 entered the office, and the teacher was dumbfounded when he saw Yi Chen and Chu Tian's appearance. "What are you 2 doing?" The teacher frowned, his eyes full of confusion, and his eyes glanced back and forth between the 2 of them. I muttered to myself, "Why is another one so crazy? Is it possible that I have too many homework assignments recently? Is there so much pressure?" She did not blame the students themselves, but first doubted herself. Yi Chen was silent on the side, but Chu Tian stepped forward, straightened his back, and said loudly, "Teacher, this is my cultivation technique, it can speed up your cultivation." With pride on his face, as if he had discovered some great secret, Yi Chen quickly turned his head to the side, fearing that he would laugh out loud. The teacher turned to look at Yi Chen suspiciously, expecting to get a reasonable explanation. But Yi Chen seemed extremely guilty, his eyes wandered around, and he didn't dare to look at her. "Okay, come here and start class." The teacher sighed helplessly. Although he still had doubts in his heart, he still chose to believe Chu Tian's words. After all, she really knew nothing about cultivation, and he only had life-related powers. Faced with Chu Tian's confident attitude, although she had doubts, she was not sure whether what he said was true. When Chu Tian heard that class was about to begin, his energetic and triumphant look just now disappeared without a trace. Instead, he looked listless and weak, as if all the strength in his body had been drained away. The 2 of them went to class for another whole day. After school, they went home listlessly together as usual. Although the 2 walked together, they didn't talk much, mainly because they were too tired. Yi Chen complained in his mind, it would be great if the training time could be used in cultural classes. Yi Chen also tried to use his training time to learn cultural lessons before, but he was disappointed. There was no option to include cultural lessons on the system panel. But it's normal to think about it. This system is called the God of War system, and it really has nothing to do with when. Yi Chen would rather go to the wild to hunt exotic animals than engage in such high-intensity mental exercise. Yi Chen now thought of a famous saying in his mind, if a young man doesn't work hard, the old man will be sad. It's so sad now. Yi Chen raised his head and glanced at the darkened sky, and said with emotion, I have been honest, please let me go. At this moment, Yi Chen's bracelet suddenly moved. Ding! The account has received 23 million. Yi Chen was stunned for a moment, knowing that it was Zhao Hai who had called the money, and then he put his hands behind his back with some guilt, pretending as if nothing happened. Although Yi Chen had turned down the sound of the bracelet reminder, Chu Tian was now a person who had awakened to the 8th level, and his 5 senses were much stronger than before, so he could still hear the sound. When Chu Tian heard this, he immediately became interested. He straightened his waist, showed a smirk on his face, and stared straight at Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen pretended to be calm and tried to get through it like nothing happened. But Chu Tian would not let him go easily. He grabbed Yi Chen and said with a smile, if I heard you right just now, that should be your energy storage bracelet, right? Yi Chen felt nervous, but he still pretended to be innocent, touched his nose, and retorted, no way, why didn't I hear it? You must have heard it wrong. Chu Tian looked at Yi Chen touching his nose and became even more convinced that there must be something wrong with this kid. He knew that Yi Chen had a habit of touching his nose subconsciously whenever he lied, and that he would dodge his eyes when talking to others. This is also because Yi Chen seldom lies. The only few times Chu Tian wanted to help him, but Yi Chen made excuses to shirk him. This was how Yi Chen behaved at that time. Okay, you touched your nose, you are indeed lying. Chu Tian said proudly. Yi Chen's face suddenly became embarrassed. He didn't expect that his subtle movement would betray him. Chu Tian's eyes kept looking up and down Yi Chen's body, and finally his eyes rested on Yi Chen's butt. Then he said with a bad smile, you shouldn't be. Yi Chen didn't know what he meant, and his face suddenly felt hot, as if it had been roasted by fire. He quickly waved his hands and said, I didn't, so don't talk nonsense. Chu Tian is a big talker, and he always talks without restraint. Seeing Yi Chen's reaction, Chu Tian became more sure of his thoughts. He rubbed his hands, and then said with a vulgar expression, Brother Chen, why didn't you say anything if you have such channels? We are no longer brothers. Yi Chen had a black line on his face. Speaking of you, uncle, do you think I have no lower limit like you? Chu Tian didn't speak, but looked at Yi Chen with deep meaning. Yi Chen couldn't stand being stared at by Chu Tiantian anymore, so he sighed and said, okay, then I'll tell you. He knew Chu Tian wouldn't let him go if he didn't explain clearly today. Chu Tian looked excited and urged, Brother Chen, tell me, I'll listen. He was full of expectations, thinking that Yi Chen would share the channel with him. Yi Chen said helplessly, didn't I ask you for a map of your Chu family's strange beasts before? That's it. Chu Tian's head was full of questions and he asked in confusion, does my family's atlas of exotic animals still record these? I will have to ask my dad for a copy later. Yi Chen rolled his eyes at him and said angrily, I want you, sir. After saying that, he reached out and patted Chu Tian on the head. Yi Chen thought that Chu Tian would understand when he said this, but he underestimated Chu Tian's brain circuitry. Chu Tian's eyes were shining brightly, and he was looking at him with a lewd smile on his face, which made him feel chills. Yi Chen rolled his eyes and explained, I went to the wild and made a little money. This is my previous harvest and it just arrived. But Chu Tian ignored what he said. He only heard the 4 words, went to the wild, and immediately jumped up in surprise and said loudly, what? You went to the wild? Yi Chen immediately covered Chu Tian's mouth and said, keep your voice down, for fear that others won't know. Yi Chen let go of Chu Tian when he saw that he had come to his senses. Chu Tian looked serious, with a hint of anger in his tone, and said to Yi Chen, you actually went to the wild. Don't you know how dangerous it is? If you encounter any accident in the wild, what should your sister do? What to do? And I will never be able to forgive myself for giving you the map of strange beasts. Seeing Chu Tian's anxious look, Yi Chen couldn't help but feel a warm current in his heart. He smiled and comforted, don't worry, nothing happened to me. And you should believe in my ability. I won't take risks easily. After hearing this, Chu Tian's face softened a little, but he still couldn't help but scolded. You can't act so recklessly in the future, let alone hide it from me. Don't you believe that I can help you? Yi Chen quickly explained. I just didn't want you to worry, so I chose to hide it, but I promise I won't do this again next time. Chu Tian's expression gradually relaxed, and his tone became gentle. Okay, as long as you are fine, but no matter what happens in the future, you must tell me in time, and we can discuss a solution together. Yi Chen nodded vigorously to express his understanding. By the way, just now, did your energy storage bracelet remind you of 23 million? Only then did Chu Tian react. Just now, I was only paying attention to Yi Chen going to the wild, and didn't even notice that the reminder just now was 23 million. Yi Chen touched his head sarcastically. Well, I made a small profit. Chu Tian, who had just calmed down, became excited again. A small profit. What did you do in the wild this time? Yi Chen said shyly. I just killed some strange beasts and picked up some heavenly materials and earthly treasures. I was lucky. Chu Tian was stunned and said in surprise, good luck. Treasures from heaven and earth. Yi Chen said nothing and patted Chu Tian on the shoulder, waiting for Chu Tian to accept the information. At first, he thought that Yi Chen went to the wild just for a stroll, but he didn't expect that Yi Chen would gain so much. Coupled with the treasures of heaven and earth that Yi Chen said, a huge amount of information suddenly overwhelmed his mind. After a while, Chu Tian's came back to his senses. What else are you hiding from me? Yi Chen picked some important things and talked to Chu Tian. After listening to Yi Chen's experience over the past 10 days, Chu Tian couldn't help but sigh. It's really exciting. You can meet Konoha flowers, warrior teams, and strange beasts. You were really lucky. Yi Chen's ability to survive so many things was not just luck. Before, Chu Tian thought that Yi Chen was bragging that he couldn't beat him with one hand, but now it seemed that Yi Chen was not innocent. It stands to reason that your harvest should be more than 23 million. Have you been cheated? After all, Chu Tian is the young boss of the Chu Chamber of Commerce. Although he rarely participates in the affairs of the Chamber of Commerce, he still knows something about prices. Yes, I was indeed cheated, or by your Chu Chamber of Commerce. Yi Chen said a little funny. Chu Chamber of Commerce, tell me, I want to see who dares to hack my brother. Don't you know that our Chu Chamber of Commerce has always been based on integrity? Chu Tian suddenly became furious. Uncle Zhao is handling all my things for me. Uncle Zhao, Zhao Hai, Yi Chen nodded. Chu Tian was a little confused. It stands to reason that he is not such a person. The branch of the Chamber of Commerce where he is based has always been very good under his management. No matter, no one dares to cheat my brother. Chu Tian said and was about to make a call. Yi Chen quickly stopped him and said, who told you that this money is all you have? What do you mean, this is just part of it? Yi Chen nodded and explained. Yes, these are some exotic beast materials I harvested on the last day. It was delayed because it was difficult to divide. Can you finish your sentence at once? I really thought that our Chu Chamber of Commerce had a ruthless manager and was ready to clean up the house. Chu Tian looked at Yi Chen speechlessly. You were too anxious, okay. You made the call before I finished speaking. Uncle Zhao is indeed a good person. He took good care of me when I was stationed and also gave me a lot of discounts on materials. Yi Chen said with a smile. Let me just say, Manager Zhao is not such a person, otherwise he wouldn't have stayed at the station for so long. That's right, when I first traded with him, I mentioned your name. As soon as people hear young Master Chu's name, who dares to blackmail me? Yi Chen boasted. Chu Tian also became proud at this time. That's right, even if you don't look at who I am, I have to say that my name still has some weight in the Chu Chamber of Commerce. Yi Chen looked at Chu Tian's triumphant look and knew that this incident was over. Then you are considered a rich man now, so I don't want to invite you. Chu Tian put his arm around Yi Chen's shoulders with a smirk on his face. What kind of money do you have? If I don't get the 23 million, I'll have to drink the northwest wind. Yi Chen spread his palms and said helplessly. Ah, how much did you sell your previous harvest for? Have you spent it all? Yi Chen made a rough calculation in his mind, about 50 to 60 million, it's all spent. Ah, it's all spent. You have spent more than 100 million in the past 10 days. What do I spend? You think buying equipment in the wild is free, and you think I am practicing for free. Yi Chen rolled his eyes at Chu Tian. That's true, otherwise you wouldn't be so strong. Chu Tian nodded as he should. Although I can't treat you, I can give you a nice gift. Yi Chen took out a jar of monkey wine from the energy storage bracelet and handed it to Chu Tian. This is monkey wine. It has a good healing effect. It can also treat Yuan Hai's injuries. You will use it in the future. Yi Chen explained. Chu Tian was not unreasonable and reached out to take the jar, then opened the jar and smelled it. Good wine. This is good stuff, so I won't be polite to you. Chu Tian was not unreasonable and put the things directly into the bracelet. Over the years, Chu Tian has been helping Yi Chen. Yi Chen is also very grateful to Chu Tian and even helped Chu Tian get a chance to attend Wuhan University in the Magic City. There is no need to say anything more about the relationship between the two, and it would be a bit pretentious to say it again. Okay, let's go back to practice. You should also practice hard and try to break through the 9th level before the college entrance examination. Okay, so are you. If you don't have enough resources, just tell me. No matter what, I am still a rich second generation, so I still have this little money. Yi Chen smiled and nodded. Okay, contact me if you need anything. After the two separated, Yi Chen returned home, had a few mouthfuls of food and then went to the training room. Now that the money has arrived, let's buy some more lava fire, and we should be able to break through tonight. Yi Chen directly placed an order for 10 lava fires, spending 20 million, and now has 3 million left in his account. After a while, 10 jars were neatly placed in front of Yi Chen, his eyes shining with excitement. Yi Chen took out a lava fire from the jar without hesitation. At this moment, his body had already adapted to the high temperature of the lava fire, and practicing was no longer as painful as before. Yi Chen sat there quietly, holding a blazing lava fire in his left hand, and shining with bright lightning in his right hand. His eyes were lowered, like an ascetic monk. System: spend 1 day's training time on the thunder fire body tempering technique. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Chen's naked upper body suddenly emitted a strong aura. At this time, one side of Yi Chen's meridians showed a bright red color, while the other side shone with a mysterious purple color, revealing a strange charm. Now, Yi Chen uses his training time to practice the thunder fire body tempering technique, and his clothes will never be burned or his hair will be singed like in the past. The surface temperature of his body gradually increased, but other than that there were no other abnormalities. This is because after a long period of training, Yi Chen's control over the lava fire and meteorite thunder introduced into his body has been greatly improved, and the strength of his meridians has also been greatly enhanced. That's why clothes were burned and hair was burned off. Now that you've become proficient, it won't happen anymore. After practicing like this for 4 or 5 hours, Yi Chen finally consumed all 10 lava fires. System: open the panel. Host: Yi Chen. Realm: Warrior Level 2, late stage of Tongmei. Powers: Meteor Divine Thunder S level, Divine Brewing Gourd S level, Shadow S level. Skills: 9 Nether Thunder Ju S level, Thunder Fire Body Tempering Technique, a level, Iron Forging Technique C level. Combat Skills: Thunder Dragon Breaking Sky Strike, Small Success, 7-star Steps, High Success, Instant Shadow, High Success. Power Points: 50,000. Cultivation Time: 7 years, 4 months and 15 days. I've finally reached the late stage of opening the meridians. Now that I practice the forging method, my Source C transformation will be faster. Yi Chen said excitedly. Nothing is more exciting than an increase in strength. On July 6th, the sun was high and the heat was unbearable. The whole city seemed to be in a steamer. The hot weather did not affect people's mood, because today is one of the most important days in the Chinese Federation, the first day of the college entrance examination. The college entrance examination in this world is divided into 2 types: literary examination and martial arts examination. The total score of the liberal arts test is 750 points. Passing this test can enter a comprehensive university and cultivate professional talents in various fields of society. The full score of the martial arts examination is 800 points, and those who pass it will enter the martial arts school to receive training and become talents with strong combat capabilities. Many people think that the talents cultivated by the martial arts examination are more critical, but in fact, the literary examination is also of importance that cannot be ignored. The various professional talents cultivated by comprehensive universities play a vital role in maintaining the stability and normal operation of society. In addition, even if a person does not have outstanding fighting talents, it does not mean that he cannot contribute to the country. In the fields of equipment manufacturing, pharmaceutical research and development, and realm research required by warriors, a large number of scientific researchers are required to participate. If robots used only for combat can be successfully developed in the future, it will greatly reduce the burden on warriors and effectively solve the current problem of insufficient warriors. Therefore, whether it is a literary examination or a martial arts examination, it is an indispensable part of national development. Even though he had already experienced the college entrance examination in his previous life, Yi Chen was still a little nervous about taking it again. Yi Chen didn't practice last night and got up early today. Yi Qingyao also rarely slept in. She also got up early and the two of them had breakfast together. Brother, today is the cultural test, you have to work hard. Don't be nervous. Yi Qingyao's voice was clear. Hey, I'm a little nervous just because it's a cultural exam. If it were a martial arts exam, I wouldn't be nervous at all. Yi Chen sighed. Oh, it's okay, we just don't pursue a high score of 40 points. Yi Qingyao also knew that his brother's cultural score was terrible. Even if he crammed in the last 10 days, it would be impossible to do well in the exam. Yi Chen muttered in his heart, what I'm afraid of is that I won't even get 40 points. But he didn't say anything, he could just be nervous by himself. Don't let Yi Qingyao worry too. Yi Chen forced a smile and said, that's true, 40 points shouldn't be a big problem. Yi Qingyao was relieved when he heard Yi Chen's words, as long as he passed the test. The cultural examination of the Wushu examination only takes 1 day, with a total of 100 points, 50 in the morning and 50 in the afternoon. The exam starts at the same time as the liberal arts exam, but the cultural exam of the liberal arts exam takes 3 days, and the difficulty of the test paper will be much higher than that of the martial arts exam. These 10 days of unannounced tutoring sessions cover most of the required points in the cultural courses of the martial arts exam. Of course, it is impossible to cover all the knowledge points. Unless you are unlucky and the old man comes up with innovative ideas, then you are finished. After dinner, Yi Chen went directly to school. On the way, he saw many parents sending their children to take exams. Yi Chen looked at these people and felt a little uncomfortable. Chen. Yi Chen didn't even need to look back to know it was Chu Tian. Chu Tian rushed up and hugged Yi Chen's neck. Why are you here so early? Aren't you the same? You're nervous. Yi Chen's face drooped. Why am I nervous? My dad was nervous and he woke me up. Chu Tian pursed his lips toward the side. A middle-aged man in a suit was smiling at them. There was a black wildfire car parked next to him. It's probably worth 4 to 5 million. It looks like Chu Tian just saw Yi Chen and asked his dad to park the car and get out. Hello, uncle, Yi Chen greeted politely. This was the first time he met Chu Tian's father, Chu Warong, the president of the Chu Chamber of Commerce. You must be Yi Chen. I've always heard Chu Tian talk about it and I've never seen him before. I want to thank you so much this time for giving Chu Tian a chance to take the exam at Wuhan University. Chu Warong said with a smile. You're welcome, it's just a point reduction. He won't be allowed to directly get the recommendation spot. Yi Chen was a little embarrassed. If he had chosen Jingwu, he would have been able to directly recommend Chu Tian. It's already good that the points have been reduced. Although Chu Tian has awakened A-level powers, his combat ability is not very strong after all. Without the points reduction, Chu Tian would not have had a chance. Now that he has a chance, it's already very good. Chu Warong said seriously, fearing that Yi Chen would regret not choosing Kyoto Wuhan University. Zhao Hai told him everything about Yi Chen, and he naturally knew that Yi Chen now had the power of a warrior. As a businessman's judgment, he felt that Yi Chen would definitely become a strong man in the future, and it would be an opportunity for the Chu family to take advantage of this opportunity. Oh, you too, stop thanking me here. It gives you a headache. Chu Tian said impatiently. You brat, I haven't talked about you yet. If I hadn't called you today, would you have overslept? You weren't nervous at all during the college entrance examination. I wouldn't even bother to talk about you. Speaking of Chu Tian, Chu Warong will be angry. Why are you nervous? If I did well in the exam but failed in the exam, what's the use of being nervous now? If it doesn't work, just let me go home and inherit the family business. From now on, let Ah Chen cover me, and I can lie down. Chu Tian was free and easy, there is no desire to fight at all. But what he said is right, it's time now, there's no point in being nervous. Chu Warong was too lazy to argue with Chu Tian and simply ignored him. Yi Chen, if you encounter any trouble in the future, just tell me directly. You're welcome, I will help if I can. Chu Warong patted Yi Chen on the shoulder. Okay, let's go. Chu Tian picked up Yi Chen and ran away. Hey, uncle, let's go take the exam first. Yi Chen was almost pulled to the ground by Chu Tian. You brat, slow down and take the exam well. I know. Chu Tian ran away without looking back. Why are you so happy? Yi Chen saw that Chu Tian was not nervous and was still very happy. Why aren't you happy? From today on, we don't have to attend cultural classes every day. Are you unhappy? Chu Tian said matter-of-factly. Yi Chen had to admire Chu Tian's brain circuit. The key was that what he said made sense. You're right, but you have to take the test well and don't get 40 points. I can help you during the martial arts test. This cultural class is all up to you. Yi Chen warned. He was afraid Chu Tian didn't even have 40 points, so he couldn't help even if he wanted to. Don't worry, I have had tutors throughout my 3 years of high school. Although my grades are not good, 40 points are within reach, right? Chu Tian looked confident. Yi Chen couldn't decide whether what he said was true. Chu Tian's usual grades were only slightly better than his, just the difference between the last place and the second place. But it's good to have such confidence before the college entrance examination. The two of them also delayed a lot of time. After arriving at the school, they went to their own examination rooms. One is in the first examination room and the other is in the second examination room. There are only 4 exam rooms for the entire number. 2 middle school martial arts exam, with 30 people in each room, and a total of 120 people. There are 800 to 900 seniors in No. 2 middle school, and only about 1/10 choose the martial arts exam. This is enough to show how many people have awakened to level C or above. Moreover, among these 120 people, there are still some who have awakened E and D level powers, and even have poor cultural scores. Let's see if they can try their luck in the martial arts exam. Afternoon, number 2 middle school. The exam is finally over. Yi Chen walked out of the examination room, took a deep breath, and stretched his body. His body made a series of clicking sounds. During the exam, he had been focusing on answering the questions and keeping his body in the same posture. However, he was very focused at that time and his body did not feel much. As soon as the exam was over, he felt tired. As soon as Yi Chen left the classroom, he saw a familiar figure waving to him. That was Chu Tian. Chu Tian walked quickly to Yi Chen and asked impatiently, "How do you feel?" Yi Chen smiled and replied, "It's okay, they are all regular questions, the difficulty is moderate, 40 points should not be a big problem, what about you?" He was a little lucky that there were no new question types or particularly difficult questions in this exam, which made him feel relatively relaxed when answering the questions. Chu Tian said confidently, "Me? Do you need to say that? It must be no problem. This is a piece of cake for me." There was a proud smile on his face, and he looked confident. Yi Chen looked at Chu Tian's stinking look and couldn't help but laugh and said, "That's good, this year's exam is really not difficult, and neither of us should have big problems. However, the next step is the martial arts test." Hearing Yi Chen mention the martial arts test, Chu Tian also put away his playful expression and became serious. He nodded and said seriously, "Yes, today's literary test is just an appetizer. The real challenge is still there. What's behind?" He knew that the real highlight of the martial arts test would be tomorrow. At this time, Yan Sheng and Zhang Ding also appeared in the corridor. When they saw that they were looking for Yi Chen hurriedly greeted them. "Yi Chen, how did you do in the exam?" Zhang Ding was smiling, but compared with his burly and fierce appearance, this smile was a bit scary. Yi Chen also knew that Zhang Ding had tried hard not to be so fierce in front of him, but had tried to be as gentle as possible. It's okay. It shouldn't be a big problem. This year's questions are not difficult. Hearing Yi Chen say this, Zhang Ding and Yan Sheng both breathed a sigh of relief. Yi Chen is now the most promising person in No. 2 middle school to reach the top 100 in the college entrance examination. It would be too dramatic if he fails at the first level. It's okay. The lower difficulty is also a good thing for you. The cultural score of the martial arts test will not increase because of the difficulty of the questions. It's a profit for you if the questions are easy. Yan Sheng interrupted at this time. The cultural examination in the martial arts examination has always had a fixed score line 40 points, which has not changed for many years. This score line is undoubtedly a boon to those students who originally had poor grades in cultural courses, such as Yi Chen and Chu Tian. Because the simpler the questions, the more likely they are to pass the literacy test. In addition, the full score of the cultural test is only 100 points. Even if the candidates have excellent cultural scores, it is difficult to widen the gap. What really determines success or failure is the 700-point martial arts test. However, the difficulty of this year's literary test paper has been reduced, which means that the weight of cultural points in the martial arts test is relatively low. In the past, many students failed to attend Wuhan University because they failed to pass the cultural examination. From this perspective, the number of people who can enter Wuhan University this year may increase. Tomorrow we will go to the Warrior Alliance to test your level and physical fitness. Don't practice any more tonight and stay in top condition, Yan Sheng reminded. He was worried that Yi Chen would, as usual, come to school the next morning with a tired face, as if he had kidney deficiency, after practicing at night. Yi Chen scratched his head in embarrassment. He naturally knew what Yan Sheng was talking about. No, it was because it was difficult to practice at key points before, but now it's no longer a problem. Yi Chen explained quickly. Yan Sheng also breathed a sigh of relief, but still warned with some worry, no problem, don't practice. It's just for one night. Just stay in your best condition. Yi Chen was a little helpless, but he could only nod. Okay, you go back. You have worked hard on today's exam. Have a good rest and prepare for tomorrow's test, Zhang Ding said. Okay, then Chutian and I will go back first. Yi Chen and Chutian went back. They were indeed a little tired today. When Yi Chen returned home, Yi Qingyao had already prepared a table of food for Yi Chen. It's quite sumptuous. Of course it's not made by Yi Qingyao, it's all takeaway, but Yi Qingyao makes it look like it's made by himself. Brother, you're back, come and have dinner soon. Yi Qingyao looked excited. Yi Qingyao didn't ask Yi Chen how he did in the exam at all. Although she wanted to know in her heart, she was afraid that Yi Chen's poor performance in the exam would affect his mood. Yi Chen didn't know what Yi Qingyao was thinking, so Yi Chen gently touched Yi Qingyao's head. Don't worry, I did okay in the exam today, at least I passed. Hearing Yi Chen's words, Yi Qingyao suddenly became happy and chirped in Yi Chen's ear about the lunch she prepared for Yi Chen. Brother, I made you your favorite braised pork, steamed fish and fried vegetables today. Quote. Yi Chen smiled while eating and watching Yi Qingyao talking with beaming eyebrows. After eating, Yi Chen went to the training room. Although Yan Sheng reminded him, Yi Chen did not listen. Now that he has entered the late stage of channeling, the pain when practicing the iron forging method has been greatly reduced. Part of the source energy in his source C has begun to transform into gold. However, it is still difficult to transform the entire source C into a gold C. However, Yi Chen did not use his training time to practice the iron forging method. Although he has reached the late stage of Tongmei, he is still very stressed about using the training time every day. It is not that he cannot bear it, but he cannot yet use the training time to practice the forging method without affecting his physical condition. Yi Chen sat quietly in the training room, focusing on practicing the forging method. He has long been accustomed to practicing every night. If he stops practicing one day, he will feel uncomfortable. In the process of practicing, he can also feel inner peace and tranquility. By the way, my current Yuanai is now Yinhai, and the quality of the source energy has become much stronger. I'll try to see if I can brew the last 2 wines of the divine brewing gourd. Yi Chen knew in his heart that with his current situation, if he wanted to quickly improve his strength, the only way was to directly use his training time to improve his realm. However, he hopes to make a breakthrough after transforming the Source Sea into the Golden Sea. After all, this is a long-term and arduous task that cannot be accomplished overnight. Therefore, Yi Chen decided to find another way to find ways to improve his strength from other aspects. If the latter two kinds of wine can be successfully brewed, it will be a huge breakthrough for Yi Chen, and his combat power will also be significantly improved. Thinking of this, Yi Chen closed his eyes, flipped his hand gently, and the divine wine gourd quietly appeared in his hand. He took a deep breath and slowly guided the silver energy in his body into the gourd. With the influx of silver source energy, Yi Chen clearly felt that there seemed to be some mysterious power gestating inside the gourd. Finally, after Yi Chen exhausted the source energy in his body, the contents of the divine brewing gourd were successfully brewed. It's done, spiritual storage wine. Although Yi Chen doesn't have a trace of source energy in his body now, his eyes are exceptionally bright. The purpose of this spirit storing wine is to restore my source energy. It just so happens that I have exhausted my source energy now. I can detect how much source energy a pot of spirit storing wine can restore to me. Yi Chen thought to himself, his eyes shining with expectation. He directly picked up the gourd and drank, holding the mouth of the pot to his mouth, and drank the wine in one gulp. Soon, he finished the bottle of wine. Hiccup. Yi Chen let out a loud wine burp, and a strong aroma of wine emanated from his mouth. It tastes pretty good. In the previous life, it would have been 20 years old. Yi Chen said with a smile, a satisfied smile on his lips. Just when Yi Chen was still sighing that the wine tasted good, he suddenly felt like a fire was burning in his body. His face instantly turned red, as if it was on fire. It works so quickly, Yi Chen shouted in surprise, with an excited expression on his face. He originally thought it would take some time to feel the effect, but he didn't expect it to be so fast. There was no fear in Yi Chen's eyes, but instead they were full of surprise and expectation. He knew that the faster the effect, the faster the spirit storage wine could restore the source energy. In just a few breaths, Yi Chen felt that the source energy in his body had returned to 50%, and in 2 more breaths, the source energy had returned to 70%. The flush on Yi Chen's face gradually faded, and the source energy stopped at 70%. So strong. It can restore 70% of the source energy. I thought it would be good to have 50% of the source energy. This way I don't have to worry about the source energy consumption during the battle and can use the Thunder Dragon Sky-Breaking Strike without limit. Yi Chen said excitedly. His eyes widened with disbelief on his face. Thunder Dragon Breaking Sky Strike is his most powerful attack method. Although he is still in the Xiaocheng realm, the power is already amazing. In the past, he always regarded this move as the last killing move, and would only use it at the critical moment when deciding the outcome. Why? It's not because he wants to take him by surprise, but because if he fails to hit his opponent with Thunder Dragon's Skybreaking Strike at the beginning, he will be at a huge disadvantage next. And it is almost impossible to make a comeback, because the Thunder Dragon Sky-Breaking Strike can only be used once. Once used, the source energy in the body is not enough to be released again. Therefore, he usually slowly consumes the opponent first, and then uses Thunder Dragon Sky-Breaking Strike when he is fully confident that he can hit the opponent. During his more than 10 days in the wild, he encountered all kinds of strange beasts. But no strange beast can withstand the Thunder Dragon's Sky-Shattering Strike. Every time, he won with this move. It is indeed an S-level auxiliary power. I still underestimated the role of the Divine Brewing Gourd. Yi Chen was a little embarrassed. Because of his auxiliary skills, Yi Chen had never paid much attention to him and paid more attention to the training of the Heavenly Meteor Divine Thunder. Therefore, his control over the Heavenly Meteor Divine Thunder will be stronger. If he also pays attention to cultivating the Divine Brewing Gourd, the source energy consumed by him in brewing will also be reduced a lot, and the speed of brewing will also increase. It is a matter of proficiency. Let's try the Blue Spirit Brew again. Yi Chen was full of expectations at this time and couldn't wait to know the magical effects of Blue Spirit Brew. It didn't take long before he successfully brewed a pot of Blue Spirit Brew, but the source energy consumed this time was significantly less than the amount used when brewing Choling Brew before. However, when faced with the use of Lanolin Brew to heal injuries, Yi Chen couldn't help but fell into a dilemma. The function of this blue spirit brew is to heal injuries, but I am not injured now. Just as he was hesitating, a crazy thought came to his mind. No matter what, since there are no injuries, let's create injuries ourselves. Therefore, Yi Chen made up his mind and took out Ben Lei from the energy storage bracelet. He frowned, holding the gun tip in his hand, and there was a trace of hesitation and struggle in his eyes. After all, it is not an easy thing to attack yourself. But Yi Chen knew very well that if he didn't try it himself, how could he truly understand the efficacy of lanolin brew? At some junctures in the battle, you cannot avoid the situation of exchanging injuries for injuries. You always have to know how much injuries you can bear. Only then can you be more at ease when fighting. Finally, after some inner struggle, Yi Chen was fully mentally prepared. He closed his eyes tightly, gritted his teeth, and stabbed Ben Lei into his arm without hesitation. Since Yi Chen has now reached the late stage of Tongmei, the strength of his skin has been greatly improved, and ordinary attacks cannot easily break through his defense. Therefore, Yi Chen deliberately increased his intensity this time. Hiss, it hurts. With a painful groan, Yi Chen suddenly opened his eyes and saw a hideous wound on his arm, with blood pouring out. I forgot that Ben Lei is a B-level spear. My physical training skills are not good enough in front of him. Yi Chen felt pain and felt a little regretful. Yi Chen didn't have time to think too much and quickly drank the blue spirit brew. Suddenly, he felt a powerful energy gathering towards his wound. After a while, his wound sprouted granulation at an alarming speed and began to heal. However, just when the injury was about to fully recover, the wound suddenly began to bleed again, and the wound that was about to heal suddenly opened again. What's going on? Aren't they all about to heal? Yi Chen was filled with doubts. He quickly took another sip of blue spirit brew, and the bleeding stopped immediately, and the wound began to heal again. But when it was about to heal, the same thing happened again. Yi Chen frowned. The pain from the wound was nothing to him, but bleeding all the time was not an option. How could I forget that thunder has the characteristic of bleeding? Yi Chen suddenly realized. Ben Lei is a B-level spear, not only of high level, but also has a unique characteristic, bleeding. However, when Yi Chen hunted the alien beasts, the wounds of those alien beasts were bleeding badly, but Yi Chen's own wounds were not bleeding that badly, so Yi Chen did not realize this. It seems that although blue spirit brewing cannot completely eliminate the effect of bleeding, it can greatly reduce the damage of bleeding. If you drink 2 more sips of blue spirit brewing, there shouldn't be much of a problem. Yi Chen picked up the wine bottle again and drank a few more sips of lanolin brew. Sure enough, as the wine entered his throat, he felt a cool force flowing through his body, as if a gentle hand was touching his body, soothing all the pain. By this time, his shoulder injury had stopped bleeding and began to heal quickly. Yi Chen breathed a sigh of relief and a smile appeared on his face. Now, he has a deeper understanding of the effects of these 2 drinks. These 2 drinks were extremely helpful in combat, and Yi Chen was already looking forward to his performance in actual combat in the college entrance examination. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly and there was a gentle breeze. There were many students gathered on the playground of No. 2 Middle School. They were neatly arranged into 4 square formations, and the scene was spectacular. Zhang Ding, as the leader of one of the formations, stood tall and straight in front, with his hands behind his back and his eyes firm and serious. He cleared his throat and announced loudly, "Today is the first day of the martial arts test. This is a comprehensive test of your physical fitness. Your hard work over the years will be verified here." He paused and then said, "I hope everyone can maintain a peaceful mind and not be nervous. As long as you perform to your normal level, I believe the final result will not disappoint you." Finally, he shouted passionately, "I wish all students good luck in martial arts and success." His voice was like thunder, inspiring every student present. This martial arts test is divided into 2 parts, physical fitness test and actual combat. The physical fitness test is designed to evaluate various physical fitness indicators of students, with a full score of 200 points. Actual combat focuses more on actual combat capabilities, with a full score of up to 500 points. In the case of the same level of superpowers, since everyone has just awakened and only has more than a month, it is not easy to achieve a significant difference in cultivation. However, if the family is well off and has family background support, like Chu Tian, his cultivation speed will inevitably be faster. But after all, there are not many such families. Most students still need to rely on their own efforts and move forward step by step. Therefore, if they want to gain an advantage in the physical fitness test, the only way is to exercise their physical fitness diligently on weekdays. After all, most students are eager to embark on the path of martial arts, and many have begun to practice and exercise their bodies even before awakening their powers. However, most people awaken E and D level powers. After awakening their powers, many people are forced to give up martial arts and choose the cultural route instead. The physical fitness test does not just focus on level, it also involves many aspects such as strength, speed and source energy quality. Those who exercise diligently on weekdays can often show certain advantages at this time. Still, this advantage is limited. Even if a person exercises hard for many years, their strength may only increase by a few dozen kilograms. In contrast, some people may neglect exercise, but due to awakening their strength-related powers, their strength can easily increase by hundreds of kilograms. This is the cruel reality of this world. Yi Chen also knew that this was Zhang Ding's way of encouraging students, but looking at the high spirits of the students next to him, the effect was pretty good. At least when people are excited and adrenaline surges, their strength and speed will increase a bit. Let's go! Zhang Ding yelled. The square team of No. 2 middle school set off in a mighty manner. On the bus, Chu Tian was sitting next to Yi Chen with a dissatisfied look on his face. Didn't you say that shaving your hair can increase your cultivation speed? Why did your hair grow back? Yi Chen ordered a bottle of hair growth cream last night, and with the help of Yuan Nang, his hair and eyebrows grew out in one night. Since Yi Chen broke through the late stage of Tongmei through body training, he will not have his hair completely destroyed by practicing the thunder fire body tempering technique. In addition, during today's physical fitness test, candidates from all over Yuling City came to the Warrior Alliance to take the test, and there were many people. Yi Chen didn't want everyone to think that he was a strange warrior, so he still had to improve his image. The image has been restored, but it's not easy to fool Chu Tian here. I just made a slight breakthrough in my cultivation, so my hair grew out. And my cultivation level is higher than yours now. This source of energy is no longer important to me. Yi Chen felt a little nervous after saying this. I stopped and almost laughed. Chu Tian still didn't know that Yi Chen was lying to him, and he wanted to beat Yi Chen. Unfortunately, he couldn't beat Yi Chen, so he could only scold Yi Chen 100 times in his heart. Chu Tian turned sideways and ignored Yi Chen. Soon everyone from No. 2 middle school took 2 buses and arrived at the gate of the Warriors Alliance. The building of the Warrior Alliance is located in the center of Yuling City. This building towers into the clouds, as if connected to the sky, giving people an unparalleled sense of science fiction. The appearance of the building uses the most advanced building materials, shining with metallic luster, and the lines are smooth and powerful. At the entrance of the building is a spacious square with high-tech materials on the ground that can sense people's footsteps and emit brilliant light. In the center of the square, there is a huge fountain, with water columns rising into the sky, forming a beautiful rainbow under the refraction of the sun. How to put it, one can tell at a glance that the Warriors Alliance is quite wealthy. But this is normal. The Warriors Alliance building is not only a building, but also a symbol. It represents the strength and glory of the warriors. In this world where alien beasts are rampant, the Warriorless Alliance is an existence that brings hope to people. Just when Yi Chen was still marveling at the majesty of the warrior building, suddenly, a disgusting sound came from afar. The voice was full of ridicule and contempt. Hey, isn't this from number 2 middle school? Yi Rongshuan, this is where you stayed before. Tisk, 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 tisk. Tisk, 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 tisk. There are only so many people, it's really pitiful, I feel wrong to you. As the words fell, a thin boy with a gloomy face walked slowly over. The boy's eyes swept over everyone in No. 2 middle school, with a disdainful smile hanging on the corner of his mouth. Yi Rongshuan on the side raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and responded with a somewhat proud look, Humph, you don't even know what level number 2 middle school is. It's already good to have people like this to take the martial arts exam. Although his voice was not loud, it was clearly transmitted to the ears of everyone in No. 2 Middle School. Yi Rongshuan's words made the faces of the students in No. 2 Middle School instantly look ugly, and their eyes showed anger and dissatisfaction. After all, anyone would feel unhappy being so despised, especially when this person was in No. 2 Middle School. When No. 2 Middle School arrived, No. 1 Middle School followed closely behind, but there were many more people from No. 1 Middle School than from No. 2 Middle School. There are 2 buses in No. 2 Middle School, with a total of 120 people participating in the test. As for the people in No. 1 Middle School, all of them were rich or noble. There were 10 luxury buses alone, and some came by private cars. At least 700 people came to take part in the test. The overall level of No. 2 Middle School is indeed much lower than that of No. 1 Middle School, and the gap in student resources is also huge. Everyone in No. 1 Middle School has good family conditions, and they basically started taking body tempering potions at a very young age to lay the foundation. The level of awakened abilities is naturally much higher than that of the second-grade students, and this is a fact that cannot be changed by the second-grade students. It's just a person who was judged to be from No. 2 Middle School. Now you are slandering No. 2 Middle School. Yi Rongshuan, you are really shameless. There were people from No. 2 Middle School in the crowd who were dissatisfied and spoke angrily. Yi Rongshuan saw the person who spoke at a glance, his face was cold, and his pupils instantly turned red. HMPH. Yi Rongshuan snorted coldly and shot a wave of pressure towards the man. The man's expression changed drastically. He didn't expect that Yi Rongshuan would take action directly. Yan Sheng saw this and was about to take action when a figure moved first. The figure galloped out like lightning, extremely fast, and arrived in front of the man in the blink of an eye. He easily blocked the pressure from Yi Rongshuan and dissolved it invisibly. Why, is what he said wrong? Yi Chen stood in front of the person who insulted Yi Rongshuan and said in an understatement. Yan Sheng also wanted to take action just now, but Yi Chen beat him to it. If Yan Sheng really takes action, then this conflict between students will escalate to the teacher level. In addition, the level of teachers in No. 2 Middle School is much lower than that in No. 1 Middle School. If there is a conflict, No. 2 Middle School will definitely be at a disadvantage. Yi Chen, you are just an abandoned son of the Yi family. Why are you so arrogant? A person like you is a perfect match for No. 2 Middle School. When Yi Rongshuan saw Yi Chen, he couldn't control his emotions, and the energy in his body began to surge, as if he was about to take action at any time. Yi Rongshuan has always been dissatisfied with the fact that Yi Chen was admitted to Wudu University, especially when he was slapped away by Feng Lian, which made him feel extremely embarrassed and angry. However, he did not dare to resent Feng Lian and could only focus all his anger on Yi Chen. The Yi family abandoned their son. If others don't know, don't you also know? Is it me who abandoned the Yi family, or the Yi family who abandoned me? You don't know. Oh, by the way, you may not know. After all, a month ago, you were just an unknown person who was not taken seriously by the Yi family. Otherwise, why would you be in No. 2 Middle School? Yi Chen would not be merciful. He exposed Yi Rongshuan's weakness in just a few words. Even though Yi Rongshuan was valued by the Yi family now, it could not change the fact that he was a marginal figure in the Yi family before. But you probably won't care. You see, as soon as Zhonghe and the Yi family called you, you waggled your tail and went to beg for food. Yi Rongshuan, you are more talented at being a dog than you are at martial arts. Yi Rongshuan couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, Yi Chen, I'm going to kill you. As his words fell, his hair stood up instantly, like a ball of flame burning, and a red flame burned on his fist, blasting towards Yi Chen with astonishing power. This punch was an angry blow from Yi Rongshuan. It was quite powerful, but it had too many flaws. In Yi Chen's eyes, it was full of loopholes. Yi Chen still stood there without hiding, with his hands still behind his back. There was a faint smile hanging on the corner of his mouth, as if he didn't take Yi Rongshuan seriously at all. Seeing this scene, the skinny student couldn't help but murmured to himself, is this Yi Chen really capable, or is he just a fool? Just when Yi Rongshuan's fist was about to hit Yi Chen suddenly turned slightly sideways. The movement was extremely small. It looked like he was not moving, but he just managed to avoid the punch. Immediately afterwards, a thunder arc flashed on Yi Chen's left leg, and a bolt of lightning-like light streaked through the air, directly whipping his leg and kicking Yi Rongshuan hard in the open chest. Yi Rongshuan screamed, and his whole body was kicked out more than 10 meters like a kite with broken strings, blood spurting out from his mouth. The clothes on his chest were directly shattered, revealing his chest that was scorched black by lightning. That's it. It seems like you didn't make any progress after going to No. 1 middle school. Is that just this level? Yi Chen shook his head and deliberately looked disappointed. Yi Chen's blow was not light, but Yi Chen didn't dare to really kill him. If he killed Yi Rongshuan in public, he probably wouldn't be able to escape. However, this blow was enough to make Yi Rongshuan uncomfortable. At least the next physical fitness test would be affected. When Yi Rongshuan heard what Yi Chen said, he was immediately filled with rage, spit out a mouthful of blood, and fainted. Tisk, 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 this psychological quality still needs to be improved. Interesting, really interesting. The thin student had a weird smile on his face, and looked at Yi Chen like he was looking at a plate of delicious food, which made people shudder. A teacher from No. 1 middle school hurriedly ran to Yi Rongshuan and gave him a healing potion. Then a teacher dressed as a doctor came out of the No. 1 middle school teacher team. Seeing this, the teacher quickly used his superpower, and green rays of light emitted from his hands and fell on Yi Rongshuan. Under the dual influence of the teacher and the healing potion, Yi Rongshuan finally slowly opened his eyes. He woke up, but Yi Rongshuan's face was still very ugly. This blow injured the internal organs. My treatment only cured the trauma and alleviated the injury. It will take time to heal. I'm afraid the next test. The school doctor didn't say anything anymore, but everyone knew what he meant. The teacher who first came to check on Yi Rongshuan was also Yi Rongshuan's class teacher. He stood up angrily and pointed at Yi Chen. It's just a discussion. Isn't it too much for you to be so harsh? His voice was full of anger. As he spoke, he also used coercion to press Yi Chen, trying to give Yi Chen a blow. However, Yi Chen still stood there with a faint smile, as if he was not affected at all. At this moment, Yan Sheng stepped forward, blocked Yi Chen's pressure, and said teasingly, "Why, the student can't beat the teacher." His tone was full of mockery. "Yan Sheng, don't be so messy. Yi Rongshuan is so seriously injured, the next test will definitely be affected. What will affect his future is that martial arts is slow step by step. Such a cruel student, your No. 2 middle school education, the level is really questionable. Hey, teacher, please don't use moral kidnapping to confuse right and wrong. It was Yi Rongshuan who attacked me first from the beginning. I was just acting in self-defense." Yi Chen said this, but when he heard the school doctor saying that Yi Rongshuan's next test would be affected, the smile on his lips never dropped. HMPH. Even if Yi Rongshuan strikes first, you don't have to be so harsh. You clearly did it on purpose. The teacher was already dizzy at this time. Yi Rongshuan's superpower Blazing Sun Mastiff is a very good offensive superpower. In fact, he has a good chance of passing the 2 majors. When Yi Rongshuan transferred to No. 1 middle school, he spent a lot of effort to get Yi Rongshuan to join his class. He had tried his best to train Yi Rongshuan this month. Originally, Yi Rongshuan only had a chance to get into the top 2 majors. Yi Chen's move could be said to have ruined this chance. Why wasn't he angry? Hey, Yi Rongshuan is a student of your No. 1 middle school. He just said that the level of our No. 2 middle school is far inferior to that of No. 1 middle school. He attacked like that, there's no way I could have held back, right? What if I had held back and it was me who got hurt? But I didn't expect him to be so weak, and he couldn't sustain even one move. Yi Chen looked guilty, as if he really didn't expect Yi Rongshuan to be so weak. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.